Chapter 4706. The storm in the sea of weak water was too terrifying. Even Lin Feng felt his hair stand on end. It seems like we can't enter the sea of weak water for the time being. Let's find a place to rest first, Du Zhu said. Lin Feng nodded. They were only 30 miles away from the weak water town. They would soon arrive at the town. Lin Feng and the others arrived at the town. At this moment, a large number of cultivators had gathered in the town. Among them were many who originally intended to enter the sea of weak water, and many who were here to watch the show. Due to the storm inside the sea of weak water, no one dared to continue to stay outside the sea of weak water. After all, if they were swept into the sea of weak water by the storm, they would be in a miserable state. They would die without a burial place. Therefore, they could only return to the town and wait for the storm to dissipate. For a long time, the sea of weak water has never been swept by a storm. Now that there is such a big storm in the sea of weak water, is it a sign that something unimaginable is about to happen? I feel like something is really going to happen. I just don't know what will happen. Could it be related to the goddess of weak water? The goddess of weak water is just a legend, right? There are no Tao scriptures that have detailed records of the goddess of weak water. Only some myths have legends about her. Moreover, the later generations think that the legend of the goddess of weak water was deliberately created by someone. By creating the story of the goddess of weak water, everyone would be in awe of the sea of weak water. The fact that the sea of weak water is a cursed sea area spread like wildfire. So many people don't dare to enter the sea of weak water to search for opportunities. However, some top forces have extraordinary means and are fearless. Because many people don't dare to enter the sea of weak water to search for opportunities, their competitors have decreased a lot. In fact, these top forces have indeed obtained a lot of great opportunities from the sea of weak water over the years. So, you think that the legend of the goddess of weak water is spread by some top forces behind the scenes? Yes, that's what I think. But I don't think so. I think that maybe there really is a goddess of weak water in this world. There's no smoke without fire. Since there's such a legend, it's possible that the goddess of weak water really appeared. Who knows if it's true or not? Even if there really was a goddess of weak water, it was a matter of tens of thousands of years ago. The era of titled gods has already ended for hundreds of millions of years. If there really was such a titled god, who knows how many tens of thousands of years she would have died? Indeed, we don't need to worry about whether there is a weak water goddess or not. What makes me most curious is the change in the sea of weak water. What caused the change in the sea of weak water? It really makes me curious. It would be great if I could explore the sea of weak water. Brother, don't worry. When the abnormality dissipates, we can go to the sea of weak water to have a look. I wonder if there will be any great opportunities. In the weak water town, many practitioners were talking about the changes in the weak water sea. Everyone was waiting for the opportunity to arrive. One day later, there was a piece of news about the weak water goddess. It was said that when there was a change in the weak water sea, the weak water temple would appear. And in the weak water temple, there were countless treasures and inheritances. This news immediately caused an uproar. Because if this news was true, then it could prove that there really was such a person as the weak water goddess. And before everyone thought that the matter of the weak water goddess was just a fabrication. Moreover, this news also involved the weak water temple. If there really was a weak water temple, then naturally it was what everyone was looking forward to. Because maybe they would be able to get some great opportunities from the weak water temple. At the end of the era, everyone was more eager for all kinds of opportunities. Because it was getting closer and closer to the end of the era. Every time they got an opportunity, maybe the chance of survival would increase by a little. And the number of times they could get an opportunity was obviously not many. Everyone naturally had to seize every opportunity as much as possible. For example, this time, Lin Feng also heard the news about the weak water temple. He was also waiting for the change in the weak water sea to disappear. But the storm in the weak water sea was getting more and more violent and had no intention of disappearing. The storm lasted for more than a month and did not dissipate. And during this period of time, the change in the weak water sea also spread out. Many experts came one after another, and everyone wanted to go to the weak water sea to try their luck. Maybe there really was a harvest. The storm in the weak water sea lasted for 3 months. And during these 3 months, Lin Feng had been in closed-door cultivation. The outside world was extremely restless, because the longer the change in the weak water sea lasted, this showed that the opportunity in the weak water sea may be more powerful. The opportunities in the weak water sea were becoming more and more attractive. Therefore, everyone was waiting for the opportunity in the weak water sea to appear. So during this period of time, the weak water town was overcrowded. Of course, it was not far from the weak water city. So many cultivators went to the weak water city and did not stay in the weak water town. It was not too late to rush to the weak water sea after the weak water sea returned to normal. Because Lin Feng was in closed-door cultivation in the time and space, 3 months in the outside world was actually equivalent to 3 years in the time and space. During this period of time, Lin Feng's harvest was huge. He sorted out his Dao and various remarkable abilities. In addition, Lin Feng also stabilized his realm. Now Lin Feng was extremely proficient in the use of his own strength. When Lin Feng came out of closed-door cultivation, he found something that surprised him. The 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar had developed his body quite well with the help of the 9 Transformations Immortal Scripture, so the strength of the 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar had improved by leaps and bounds. When Lin Feng came out of closed-door cultivation, the 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar had broken through to the peak of the Sky Immortal Realm, the distance to the true Immortal Realm. There was still one more step, but after breaking through to the peak of the Sky Immortal Realm, the improvement of the 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar stopped. Lin Feng knew it would not be so easy to break through again. It needed a powerful opportunity to make the 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar complete the improvement again. But this kind of opportunity was not easy to find. If he could find such an opportunity in the weak water sea, it would be great. Lin Feng now could not wait for the 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar to break through to the true Immortal Realm. Because if the 9 Orifices Stone Man avatar could break through to the true Immortal Realm. Chapter 4707. Lin Feng knew that the 9 Orifices Stone Man clone could not be rushed to break through to the true Immortal Realm. One had to take one step at a time. Rice had to be eaten one bite at a time. It was unrealistic to want to run thousands of miles in one step and eat fatso in one bite. The storm outside had weakened. Therefore, a large number of cultivators began to rush from the Ruoxue city to the Sea of Weak Water. Many people stayed in the Ruoxue town, waiting for the storm to completely dissipate. It would not be too late to go to the Sea of Weak Water. On this day, 3 suns appeared in the depths of the Sea of Weak Water. They illuminated the world. Oh my God! How could there be 3 suns? Countless people could not help but exclaim, unable to believe their eyes. 3 suns appeared in the distance. This was inconceivable. Anyone who saw this scene would be shocked and moved. It was really strange for 3 suns to appear together. When the 3 suns appeared, the storm in the Sea of Weak Water quickly dissipated. Not long after, the storm in the Sea of Weak Water completely disappeared. The storm in the Sea of Weak Water disappeared. Quickly go to the depths of the Sea of Weak Water to see what kind of opportunity has appeared. Countless cultivators shouted excitedly, and then flew in the direction of the Sea of Weak Water. At this time, the 3 suns disappeared. This scene naturally could not be hidden from everyone. Why did the 3 suns disappear? The 3 suns seem to be related to the change in the Sea of Weak Water. I wonder what the 3 suns are. Many people began to talk about it. The 3 suns were very strange, but they did not think that they were real suns. Because there was only one sun now, and it was outside the 9 heavens. The opportunity in the Sea of Weak Water must be amazing, a cultivator said. More and more cultivators flew in the direction of the Sea of Weak Water. But at this time, a dense mass of giant fish monsters rushed out of the Sea of Weak Water. These giant fish monsters were very large. Each of them was 30 to 40 meters long, with their bloody mouths wide open, revealing their dense fangs. The scales on their bodies were as rough, thick, and hard as the scales of a crocodile. One after another, gigantic fish monsters charged towards the cultivators flying in the sky to devour them. Many cultivators did not even have time to react before they were devoured by those giant fish monsters. There were also some cultivators who reacted faster. When the giant fish monsters rushed out to attack them, the cultivators in front of them immediately reacted. The cultivators then brought out their powerful magic treasures and attacked the fish monsters. However, their magic treasures only left a few marks on the giant fish monster's body after they bombarded it with their magic treasures. It was unable to break through the giant fish monster's defense. Therefore, after seeing this scene, many cultivators were shocked. Before they could react, those cultivators had already been swallowed by the giant fish monster. Of course, not everyone was unable to defeat the giant fish monster. Some particularly powerful cultivators unleashed their might and killed the giant fish monsters that were attacking them. But even so, the cultivators couldn't help but jump in fright. Many people thought that there were no living creatures in the Sea of Weak Water. Furthermore, in the past, when many people went to the Weak Water Sea, they did not see any living creatures. However, after this storm, such a terrifying monster fish appeared. It was extremely strange. These strange fish were able to live in the Weak Water Sea, indicating that they were not afraid of the curse power in the Weak Water Sea. Besides these strange fish, were there any other living creatures? This made everyone puzzled, and their hearts were incomparably dignified. After launching a wave of attack, the giant fish monster dived into the Weak Water Sea and disappeared without a trace. After the giant fish monster disappeared, many cultivators cried bitterly because many of their relatives and friends had died under the attack of the giant fish monster. There are so many terrifying living creatures in the Weak Water Sea. I don't know which bastard said that there were no living creatures in the Weak Water Sea. Someone cursed. Before, the cultivators who entered the Weak Water Sea rarely went deep into the Weak Water Sea. I guess the living creatures in the Weak Water Sea originally lived in the depths of the Weak Water Sea. That area was too dangerous, cultivators would not enter it, so they could not see the living creatures in the Weak Water Sea. Over time, the rumor that there were no living creatures in the Weak Water Sea spread out. But this time the storm swept the living creatures outside the Weak Water Sea to the outer area. So, as soon as everyone entered the Weak Water Sea, they were attacked by these terrifying living creatures. A cultivator said. The others nodded. This cultivator's inference was very likely to be true. But even if there were terrifying living creatures in the Weak Water Sea, it still could not stop everyone's enthusiasm. No one flinched. Many people entered the Weak Water Sea in groups, and the wealthier cultivators took a powerful ancient ship to enter the Weak Water Sea. The ancient ship's defense was tyrannical, and generally it would not be destroyed unless it encountered a huge storm. Even if it encountered many powerful living creatures in the Weak Water Sea, it could also withstand the opponent's attack for a while. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, Evil Dominator Saint, and the two Ghost Emperors flew into the Weak Water Sea. The Weak Water Sea was a very large sea area, and it was said that the Weak Water Sea was about the size of 3 weak water regions. A God-state cultivator could not fly over the Weak Water Sea for hundreds of years. It was extremely easy to get lost in such a large sea area, but Lin Feng was not afraid of getting lost. If he really got lost, he could just use the heart compass to locate him. When the heart compass was looking for some special places, things, or people, Sacred Martin Immortal would ask Lin Feng for benefits. But Sacred Martin Immortal would not ask Lin Feng for benefits if the heart compass could locate him. On the third day in the Weak Water Sea, Lin Feng suddenly felt his eyelids twitching violently as he passed through a sea area, which made him frown slightly. Was something going to happen? Otherwise, why would his eyelids twitch violently? Everyone be careful, Lin Feng reminded. Du Zhu and others nodded. But at this moment, the whole sea area was suddenly filled with a powerful space-time force, and everyone was wrapped up by that powerful space-time force. Lin Feng was also wrapped up by that powerful space-time force. The next moment, Lin Feng sensed that his body was being pulled into a parallel space. When Lin Feng reappeared, he was already on an island, surrounded by blue waves. He was the only one on the island. This should still be the Weak Water Sea. Lin Feng knew that he had been schemed against. He looked around gloomily, but did not see anyone coming out. Chapter 4708. Brat, you're still as arrogant as ever. But did you know that this place will be your burial ground? At this moment, a sinister and terrifying voice suddenly resounded. Following that, an old man stepped out of the void. When he saw the old man, he was shocked. Lin Feng sneered when he saw the old man. The old man was none other than the patriarch of the weak water realm. Lin Feng did not expect that he would be tricked by the old man. And here I was wondering who it was. So it's you, a stray dog. Lin Feng sneered at the patriarch of the weak water realm. Hearing Lin Feng's mockery, the patriarch of the weak water realm trembled with anger. What a tyrannical figure he was. What a lofty existence he was. As far as he was concerned, Lin Feng was nothing more than an ant or a dog. Back in the Dead Souls prison, the patriarch of the weak water realm had suffered a loss. However, the patriarch of the weak water realm believed that the reason he had suffered a loss was not because of Lin Feng's strength. It was because Lin Feng controlled the two evil god statues. Brat, if it weren't for the two evil god statues, who do you think you are? How dare you speak to this patriarch in such a tone? The patriarch of the weak water realm looked at Lin Feng with a sinister gaze and said coldly. The killing intent in his eyes was not concealed at all, said Lin Feng, smiling coldly. Old bastard, you've been living for so long, haven't you? Don't you know that a cultivator's strength is based on his own strength, magical treasures, and various hidden means? Controlling the evil god statues is my own ability. You can't even see through this. I really don't know how you cultivated to the true immortal realm. Brat, you're talking nonsense. Let's see how you'll die later. The patriarch of the weak water realm said coldly. Lin Feng sneered. You're not the only one who took action this time, right? Where are the others? Come out too. Brat, you're done for. Today, no one in this world can save you. A cold voice sounded out, and then another expert walked out. Patriarch of the Black Sand region. He was also an old acquaintance of Lin Feng. Many people want to kill you, but in the end, you are destined to die in our hands. A third expert walked out. It was the old ancestor of the 8 Extreme Palace. This brat is Lin Baiyan's son, Yang Qi said. He has incredible treasures and incredible destiny. Once we kill him, all of his treasures and divine abilities will be ours. Furthermore, we can devour his destiny. If we can devour his providence, it will be of great help to us. Perhaps in the future, it will allow us to reach a higher level, break through to the saint realm that everyone dreams of. The fourth expert stepped forward. Lin Feng had seen this expert before. He was one of the 6 true immortal experts who had besieged him in the Dead Souls prison. However, Lin Feng didn't recognize him and didn't know who this expert was. A total of 4 true immortal experts had moved Lin Feng to this place, wanting to kill Lin Feng. The reason why they were so careful was because they had suffered at the hands of Lin Feng before. They had moved Du Zhu and the rest to another place because they were worried that Du Zhu and the rest would ruin their plans. Now that Lin Feng was trapped by the 4 experts, Lin Feng wasn't worried at all. Lin Feng said indifferently, back in the Dead Souls prison, you 4 stray dogs were lucky and managed to escape. Since you've seen yours truly again, you should be obedient and scram as far as you can. Don't continue to cause trouble for yours truly. Hearing Lin Feng's arrogant words, the 4 true immortal experts' faces turned dark. Lin Feng was simply too arrogant and looked down on them completely. The 4 true immortals were naturally enraged. The old ancestor of the Black Sand region sneered, Boy, aren't you just relying on the 2 evil statues? Today, we have laid down a great array here that is enough to destroy your evil god statue. Once your evil god statue is destroyed, we are looking forward to seeing what kind of expression you will have. The old ancestor of the Baji Palace burst into laughter and said, At that time, let's see how you'll kneel on the ground like a dog and beg us not to kill you. This ancestor is really looking forward to this scene. It was reasonable to say that experts like the 4 true immortals wouldn't haggle too much with a junior. But Lin Feng was different. Lin Feng was not an ordinary person. Previously, they had suffered at the hands of Lin Feng, which was a great humiliation to them. Now that they were lucky enough to meet Lin Feng in the Sea of Weak Water, they naturally wanted to ruthlessly humiliate Lin Feng before killing Lin Feng. Is that so? I'd like to see what kind of formation you four old wastes have arranged to deal with me, Lin Feng said with a sneer, still with a disdainful expression. For old wastes. After hearing Lin Feng's new name for them, the corners of the four true immortals' mouths twitched violently. Each of them was simply furious. Lin Feng's contempt and humiliation to them made their hatred for Lin Feng reach the extreme, like a volcano that could erupt at any time. The old ancestor of the weak water region said in a deep voice, "Three Taoists, let's return to our positions." All right. The other three nodded. Then the four experts flew toward the four peaks. Then, they stopped at the top of the four peaks. Lin Feng was surrounded in the middle of the four peaks. Lin Feng knew. Those four positions should be the core of the formation. Sky formation. The old ancestor of the weak water region shouted coldly. Earth formation. The old ancestor of the black sand region spoke at the same time. Xin formation. The old ancestor of the Baji Palace also shouted coldly. Yellow formation. At the same time, another true immortal expert that Lin Feng did not know also shouted coldly. This true immortal expert was called Daoist Qing Xian. This person was said to be a famous rogue cultivator expert. The major forces were most afraid of these powerful rogue cultivators. This was because these powerful rogue cultivators were usually all alone in the world. If they took a fancy to any treasure, they would directly kill, seize the treasure, and then escape. They were not afraid of the revenge of the other party's family. If they had a family behind them, they would be afraid of many things. For example, they were worried that the other party would take revenge on their family and so on. Rogue cultivators would not worry about these. Therefore, powerful rogue cultivators were the most lawless kind of people. These four experts had set up the Heaven-Earth Black-Yellow formation. In the void, countless formation runes intertwined together. The sky formation emitted the aura of heaven. The earth formation emitted the aura of thick earth. The Xin formation emitted the aura of great Tao. The yellow formation emitted the aura of supreme. The sky formation represented heaven. The earth formation represented thick earth. The Xin formation represented the great Tao. On the other hand, the yellow formation represented the supremacy of the myriad heavens and realms. It represented the pinnacle of the cultivators. The four formations intertwined. Suddenly, a world-destroying aura pervaded between heaven and earth. Chapter 4709. Lin Feng had never heard of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Formation. However, even so, Lin Feng could feel the terror of this formation. It was definitely an extremely heaven-defying formation. Lin Feng felt that it was a little tricky. Of course, it was just a little tricky. Lin Feng was not completely helpless against it. After all, Lin Feng was now the only heavenly master in the world. He had mastered many mysterious techniques that could resolve the dangerous situation brought about by the formation. At this moment, the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Formation began to show its power. The formation runes densely covering the void was only the first step. After the formation runes sealed the surroundings and trapped Lin Feng, the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Formation began to evolve an extremely terrifying attack. First of all, the Heaven Formation evolved heavens, hands one after another, and blasted towards Lin Feng. The Earth Formation evolved earth mountains one after another and crashed towards Lin Feng. The Xin Formation evolved many great Tao attacks, such as Space Tao, Destruction Tao, Lightning Tao, Wind and Rain Tao. All kinds of great Tao condensed into a destructive attack that blasted towards Lin Feng. The Yellow Formation, on the other hand, produced numerous illusory figures. The origins of those illusory figures were extremely extraordinary. Every single one of them had unimaginable origins, or perhaps an ancient sage emperor, or an ancient demon emperor, or perhaps an ancient demon lord, and so on. Every single one of them had once been invincible in an era. The attacks condensed by the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Formation were extremely terrifying. Over the years, Lin Feng had seen all kinds of formations. However, it was his first time seeing such a terrifying formation like the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Formation. Therefore, Lin Feng was extremely shocked. How terrifying would the power unleashed by such a tyrannical formation be? Just thinking about it was enough to make one tremble in fear. Amazing! Amazing. I didn't expect you four old trash to be able to set up such a powerful formation. After feeling the power of the formation, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown and say, "Little bastard, you're about to die, yet you still dare to boast shamelessly here." Could it be that he knew he was going to die, so he wanted to go crazy before he died? Since that's the case, we can fulfill your wish right now. The 8-level palace's old ancestor's voice was extremely cold. He was in charge of controlling the profound formation. At this very moment, the various attacks that he had condensed from the profound formation on his forehead had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. Of course, there were other attacks. They had also arrived in front of Lin Feng. It charged towards Lin Feng. The four true Immortal Realm experts originally thought that Lin Feng would have a hard time dealing with them. However, when those powerful attacks bombarded Lin Feng stepped in the void. Lin Feng seemed to have a special kind of magic. When he walked in the void, he actually dodged the attacks of various formations one after another. Therefore, after seeing this scene, everyone's face revealed an expression of disbelief. The attacks of the heaven, earth, profound, and yellow formations were so tyrannical and so densely packed. However, those attacks couldn't touch Lin Feng's body. No matter how powerful the attacks of the heaven, earth, profound, and yellow formations were, if they couldn't touch the opponent's body, what was the use of these attacks? The current situation was like this. The attacks of the heaven, earth, profound, and yellow formations were extremely terrifying, but they couldn't touch Lin Feng's body. This made the four true Immortal Realm experts' faces extremely ugly. They had never thought that such a situation would happen. The four true Immortal Realm experts were all old and experienced people. They instantly understood the reason for everything. Lin Feng must be extremely proficient in formations, so he could avoid the attacks of the heaven, earth, profound, and yellow formations. Other than this reason, they couldn't find any other reason to explain the current situation. The actual situation was just as the four true immortals had guessed. The reason why Lin Feng could avoid so many attacks of the formations was that his formation skills were extremely high. This was also the reason why he could handle it with ease. However, Lin Feng wouldn't have any carelessness. Although he avoided the attacks of the four formations, it wasn't easy to avoid them. If there was a slight mistake, it would inevitably be another situation. The heaven, earth, profound, and yellow formation was indeed terrifying. And now Lin Feng was quickly approaching the ancestor of the weak water domain. He decided to quickly kill one person so that he could better break the formation. If he continued to stay in the formation, he would be continuously attacked by these four people. Lin Feng couldn't guarantee that he could always avoid the attacks of the four formations. Lin Feng hadn't brought out the evil god stone statue at this time because Lin Feng planned to bring it out when he reached the ancestor of the weak water domain. If he brought out the evil god stone statue now, it would also become the target of the formation's attacks. And the evil god stone statue would definitely not be able to constantly avoid the terrifying attacks released by the formations. Sacrifice the heaven, earth, profound, and yellow swords to kill him. At this time, the ancestor of the weak water domain shouted in a deep voice. Okay. The other three experts responded one after another. Then, each of them brought out a sword. The four of them brought out a total of 4 swords. And these 4 swords were the so-called Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow 4 swords. These were 4 bronze swords. These 4 bronze swords had extraordinary origins and could be integrated with the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Great Formation. When the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Great Formation was activated, the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow 4 swords and the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Great Formation could form a very special connection. This connection, it could allow the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow 4 swords and the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Great Formation to blend together. Therefore, the power of the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow 4 swords and the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Great Formation would be greatly enhanced. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow 4 swords quickly slashed towards Lin Feng. Each sword vibrated with an extremely terrifying aura. After feeling the power of the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow 4 swords, Lin Feng's face suddenly sank. The other party really had a lot of means. Now his plan to quickly rush to the front of the weak water domain ancestor and then kill him was completely impossible. Now Lin Feng had to dodge the attacks released by the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Great Formation, while resisting the attacks of the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Swords. Facing the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Swords, Lin Feng brought out the Heaven-Swallowing Jar. He wanted to try to use the jar to swallow the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Swords. But the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Swords were too powerful. The sword chi that was released directly shook the Heaven-Swallowing Jar away. Then the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Swords divided into four directions, surrounded Lin Feng, and slashed towards Lin Feng. The four genuine immortal experts wanted to use the Heaven-Earth Mysterious Yellow Four Swords to kill Lin Feng in the Great Formation. Chapter 47:10. At this moment, the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords had completely locked onto Lin Feng's aura. Even the surrounding void was sealed. Therefore, Lin Feng could not avoid the attack of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords. He could only resist the attack of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords. Therefore, Lin Feng had to deal with the situation carefully, or else he might also be in trouble. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Lin Feng had many treasures on him, but he had to be particular about what treasure to use to fight against the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords. He had to find a treasure that could restrain the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords. The Heaven-Swallowing Jar that Lin Feng had taken out was a treasure that could restrain the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords. This treasure could devour all kinds of magic treasures in the world and forcefully erase the spiritual will left in the magic treasure. Of course, Lin Feng had failed when he tried to use the Heaven-Swallowing Jar to devour the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords. Lin Feng had already guessed this situation. How could it be so easy to restrain the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords? Lin Feng was not discouraged. After taking out the Heaven-Swallowing Jar, Lin Feng took out a few more powerful treasures. For example, Stone of Purgatory Suppression, Supreme Demon Iron, and the Creation Gourd. Stone of Purgatory Suppression could suppress everything in the world, be it living creatures or magic treasures. Stone of Purgatory Suppression could suppress them. Supreme Demon Iron was incomparably hard. No treasure could destroy the defense of Supreme Demon Iron. The Creation Gourd could release a powerful devouring power. The most powerful thing about the Creation Gourd was that it could devour cultivators. The most powerful thing about the Heaven-Swallowing Jar was that it could devour magic treasures. But in fact, whether it was the Creation Gourd or the Heaven-Swallowing Jar, they were both treasures that could devour both cultivators and magic treasures. It was just that the focus of the two treasures was different. Now, after Lin Feng took out the Heaven-Swallowing Jar, he took out the Creation Gourd. All of a sudden, the Creation Gourd formed a very special connection with the Heaven-Swallowing Jar. One could vaguely feel that the Heaven-Swallowing Jar and the Creation Gourd had formed a Taiji diagram. The Heaven-Swallowing Jar represented the yin pole of the Taiji diagram, while the Gourd of Fortune represented the yang pole of the Taiji diagram. Yin-yang integration. The cycle was endless. After the two supreme treasures formed this special connection, they immediately released an even more powerful devouring power. The Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Swords, on the other hand, needed to resist the devouring of the two supreme treasures, and their power was greatly reduced. At the same time, the Stone of Purgatory released a terrifying power that suppressed the Heaven, Earth, Black, and Yellow Swords. Suddenly, the four swords of Heaven, Earth, Black, and Yellow were suppressed in the void, unable to move. After seeing this scene, the expressions of the four true immortals changed drastically. Lin Feng's various methods made them extremely shocked. The expressions of the four true immortals turned solemn. Lin Feng was indeed very difficult to deal with. They had no choice but to admit this. Now that the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow had been suppressed, it was an extremely bad thing for them, because the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow were extremely important to the formation of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow. Not only could the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow complement the formation of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow, moreover, They were the supreme treasures that guarded the four formation eyes of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Great Array. Once the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Four Swords were suppressed, the power of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Great Array would abruptly weaken. Therefore, the four true immortals began to operate the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Formation in a frenzy. Powerful dermic powers flowed into the formation endlessly to activate the power of the formation. Lin Feng clearly felt that the power of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Array had increased by a lot. At that moment, the Supreme Demon Iron rapidly grew in size. Soon, it was as big as a mountain. The Supreme Demon Iron covered Lin Feng and his many supreme treasures. Demonic light swirled around, protecting Lin Feng and the others. When the various attacks of the Heaven and Earth Xian Huang Great Formation, such as the Hand of Heaven, the Thick Earth Divine Mountain, various great Dao Theurgies, and the phantoms of many powerhouses, came crashing down, the Supreme Devil Iron resisted those powerful attacks. Some of the attacks landed on the protective light shield formed by the Supreme Demon Iron. The Supreme Demon Iron's means were extraordinary. The stellar transposition moved the attacks that landed on the protective light shield to other positions. Those attacks eventually landed on the Supreme Demon Iron's body. It hurts so much. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. The Supreme Demon Iron let out a miserable cry. The Supreme Demon Iron had a deity. It was very special. It was somewhat similar to a weapon cultivator, but it was not a weapon cultivator. It was equivalent to a relatively different magic treasure. Although it screamed extremely miserably, it did not suffer any harm. At this time, Lin Feng had arrived in front of the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array. Lin Feng was familiar with the structure of the formation, so he naturally knew what the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array played in it. Powerful dermic powers enveloped the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array. Then, he forcibly erased the divine thoughts left by the ancestor of the weak water realm. After the divine thoughts were erased, the ancestor of the weak water realm could not help but let out an incomparably shrill cry. The control of the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array was snatched away by Lin Feng. The ancestor of the weak water realm suffered a backlash. Although the ancestor of the weak water realm suffered a backlash, it was not a particularly serious injury. However, Lin Feng's snatching of the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array was a huge blow to the four genuine immortals. The four genuine immortals originally wanted to rely on the Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array and the four swords to kill Lin Feng. Now, it seemed that the hope was relatively slim. After forcibly erasing the divine thoughts of the weak water realm ancestor of the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array, Lin Feng collected many supreme treasures. Then, he attacked the ancestor of the weak water realm. Because the Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array had lost its connection with the four swords of Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array, its power suddenly dropped. Therefore, it was even more difficult for the attacks to hurt Lin Feng. After seeing this scene, the eyelids of the four genuine immortals twitched violently. Lin Feng's array method was so brilliant that it shocked them. Don't be afraid. The array is not broken. If we work together, we will definitely be able to kill him. The ancestor of the weak water realm shouted loudly. He took out his life source magic treasure, the Azure Dragon Mirror. Then, the ancestor of the weak water realm said loudly, "Everyone, let's take out our life source magic treasures to suppress the array eye of the Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array. The power of the Heaven and Earth Mystic Yellow Array will immediately increase." However, the ancestor of the Black Sand region, the ancestor of the Baji Palace, and the Rogue Cultivator, Taoist Green Immortal, were already thinking of retreating. Lin Feng's means were so terrifying that it really frightened the three of them. Without saying a word, the three of them turned around and fled. The ancestor of the weak water realm was stunned. Obviously, he did not expect that the three of them would leave him behind and flee alone. Bastard. Chapter 47:11. Lin Feng knew how difficult it would be to kill four true immortals at once. Lin Feng was satisfied that he had managed to kill a cultivator of the true immortal level, which was already good enough. Lin Feng used the formation splitting technique and tore the formation apart. Then, he chased after the ancestor. Lin Feng had mastered the Tao of Space and the Tao of Speed from the golden-winged Great Ping's clone. Therefore, even the ancestor of the Water Tribe wasn't as fast as Lin Feng. If they fought from a distance, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to defeat him. Lin Feng was definitely not a match for the ancestor. However, the ancestor's speed was not comparable to Lin Feng's. Therefore, Lin Feng caught up with the ancestor. Lin Feng and the ancestor of the Ruoshui tribe didn't say much. Lin Feng summoned the two daimon statues. The two fiend statues charged at the ancestor with swords in their hands. The two sides clashed. Back then, the two evil god stone statues had fought against 6 true immortals and defeated them. The weak Water Realm ancestor was no match for the two evil god statues. He was forced into a difficult situation by the two statues. Lin Feng, do you really want to kill us all? The ancestor asked with an ugly expression. He sensed a dangerous aura. The two evil god stone statues were just too terrifying. If he was careless, he would die in Lin Feng's hands. The ancestor of the weak Water Realm naturally knew this. Therefore, the ancestor of Ruoshui tribe wanted to negotiate with Lin Feng. His previous question was naturally to open up a gap in this negotiation. Lin Feng sneered. Old thing, didn't you want to kill me before? Now you have the face to ask me if I want to kill you all? Do you have any shame? The ancestor said, we had some misunderstandings before. Now, we can resolve this misunderstanding. As long as you don't kill me, I can give you endless treasures. I can even give you immortal sutras, top-grade supreme treasures, supreme abilities, and so on. Everyone in the world is here for profit. If you don't kill me, you can get so many good things, and I can keep my life. This is beneficial to both of us. I can swear that I will never be your enemy again. Lin Feng sneered and said coldly, it's too late to negotiate with me now. You have to pay the price for doing something wrong. If you don't pay the price for doing something wrong, then what's the use of the law enforcement hall? Then what's the use of the various dynasties? The ancestor's expression turned uglier after hearing Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng had no intention of making peace with him. This made the old ancestor's heart sink to the bottom of the valley. If the ancestor of the Ruoshui tribe had known Lin Feng was so strong, he wouldn't have offended him. However, in this world, there was no medicine for regret. Even if he regretted it now, it was too late. The attacks of the two statues grew fiercer and fiercer, and the ancestor found it harder and harder to resist. Lin Feng took out the Hoi bow and the sunshot divine arrow. Whoosh! He pulled the bow and shot. The sun-shooting divine arrow turned into a dazzling ray of light and shot towards the patriarch of the weak water domain. The old ancestor of the weak water realm actually saw the shooting sun god arrow shooting towards him. He wanted to dodge. However, every time he tried to dodge the sun-slaying divine arrow, he realized that he could not dodge the sun-slaying divine arrow. This was because he was being held back by the two evil god statues. There was no time to dodge the sunshot divine arrow. Pooh! The sunshot divine arrow pierced through the ancestor's head. Blood. Immediately, blood flowed out. The ancestor did not die immediately. He even saw the blood flowing from his forehead. Fear engulfed the weak water realm ancestor's body. He never thought that he would die like this. Originally, he was confident that he could seize the opportunity at the end of the epic and survive until the next epic. However, everything was impossible to achieve. The ancestor couldn't understand now. They were just dealing with a young cultivator who was not even a rogue cultivator, but they were defeated again and again. Now, even his own life was at stake. Why was it like this? The ancestor couldn't understand. Shouldn't it be as easy as moving a finger to kill a junior like Lin Feng? But that was not the case. The next moment, the weak water realm ancestor felt his consciousness sink into darkness. The ancestor's eyes were wide open. He died with a grievance. His body fell toward the ground, but he didn't fall to the ground. A ball of heavenly fire wrapped around the weak water domain ancestor and instantly burned her body to ashes. Only the origin and storage ring were left. Lin Feng put away the original strength and the ring of ancestor Ruoshui tribe. He didn't know where Du Zhu and the others were teleported to, but with their means, they would be fine. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't have to worry too much about the safety of Du Zhu and the others. Lin Feng didn't continue to stay on this island. He left the island. Then, he came to another island. Lin Feng decided to go into seclusion to refine the ancestor's origin first. He wanted to see if he could still improve his cultivation. If he could, it would naturally be a happy thing. Now, Lin Feng's cultivation was at the 9th layer of the Emperor Lord realm. His soul was at the 7th layer of the Celestial Immortal realm. Lin Feng began to refine the ancestor's origin. In fact, Lin Feng also knew his current situation. His body's resistance to the true immortal's origin was already very strong. Therefore, the true immortal's origin couldn't greatly improve his cultivation like before. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't know if absorbing the original strength of the ancestor of the water tribe would be able to improve his cultivation. After refining the ancestor's origin, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. This was because the origin of the water realm ancestor had increased his cultivation once again. Lin Feng successfully broke through from the 9th layer of the Emperor Lord realm to the 10th layer of the Emperor Lord realm. Next, he had to prepare to break through to the loose immortal realm. And Lin Feng's soul level broke through from the 7th layer of the Sky Immortal realm to the 8th layer of the Sky Immortal realm. His cultivation level and soul level had both improved. It could be said that it was a double blessing. Lin Feng immediately took out dozens of storage rings. Among these storage rings, one was the storage ring of the ancestor and some were the storage rings of the creatures imprisoned in the Dead Soul's prison. Lin Feng had been busy cultivating and didn't check them. So now, he planned to check if there were any good things in these storage rings. Of course, Lin Feng also obtained a mysterious ball of light. Chapter 47:12. Lin Feng's spiritual will first invaded the storage ring of the ancestor. There were indeed many good things in the ring. There were all kinds of immortal stones piled up like mountains, all kinds of heavenly treasures, all kinds of immortal iron, divine stones, and so on. In addition, there were 2 true immortal-level magic treasures. One was the life treasure of the ancestor, the Azure Dragon Mirror. The other was a Jade Maiden immortal robe. It was a defensive magic treasure that was as light as a veil. Female cultivators could use it, but male cultivators obviously had no use for this supreme treasure. There were also many kinds of divine ability inheritances. However, these divine ability inheritances were found by the ancestor himself. Although these inheritances weren't weak, they couldn't attract Lin Feng's attention. Now, Lin Feng was only interested in the immortal scriptures, or some extremely heaven-defying divine abilities. He wasn't interested in the other inheritances. However, Lin Feng didn't need them. It didn't mean that others didn't need them. In the future, he could reward these divine ability inheritances to others. There were also many other kinds of things. Lin Feng just glanced at them and didn't pay any more attention to them. Then, Lin Feng's spiritual will invaded the storage rings left behind by the experts who died in the Dead Soul's prison. Those experts were all titled gods back then, so their strength was also extremely tyrannical. Many titled gods were experts of the true immortal realm. These experts would definitely have left behind a lot of good things. Some of these storage rings were damaged, but most of them were intact. Lin Feng naturally found a lot of good things in these storage rings. There were about 30 different kinds of immortal-level treasures. This made Lin Feng very happy. Now, Lin Feng had collected dozens of immortal-level treasures, except for some that he needed. The rest of the immortal-level treasures could be given to his women for protection. If he could collect more immortal-level treasures, he could form an elite team. Each of them would be given an immortal-level treasure. Then, how terrifying would the combat power of this team be? Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. Of course, Lin Feng also knew that if he wanted to realize this dream, it would be impossible in a short period of time. Apart from these immortal items, there were also various immortal stones, natural treasures, and so on. It was also unimaginable. Besides, Lin Feng also obtained an evil scripture that was equivalent to an immortal scripture and a devil scripture that was equivalent to an immortal scripture. This evil scripture was called the Holy Dragon Evil Scripture. It was an evil scripture created by a supreme expert of the Dragon Clan. According to what was written on it, this supreme expert of the Dragon Clan was a creature born from the union of the Sacred Dragon Clan and the Evil Dragon Clan. The Sacred Dragon Tribe had an extremely high status in the Dragon Tribe. As for the evil dragon race, they were ostracized by many other dragon races. Therefore, possessing the evil dragon bloodline, this holy dragon had suffered a lot of humiliation since he was young. As such, this sacred dragon then left the sacred dragon clan. From then on, he called himself the evil dragon. Later on, he created the supreme evil scripture, the holy dragon evil scripture. In a certain era, it was one of the most eye-catching inheritances. As for the other demonic scripture, it was called the gloomy demonic scripture, a devil scripture created for the ancient god of darkness. Including the holy dragon evil scripture and the devil scripture of darkness, these two inheritances were equivalent to immortal scriptures. Lin Feng had already obtained 9 inheritances that were equivalent to immortal scriptures. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. 9 inheritances. Any one of them was extremely heaven-defying. Of course, Lin Feng's understanding of the 9 immortal scriptures was not particularly deep at the moment. At most, it could only be considered as a beginner. But as time passed, Lin Feng believed that his cultivation of these immortal scriptures would definitely become deeper and deeper. At night, on an isolated island, a bonfire burned fiercely. Above the bonfire was barbecued meat that had already been roasted to a golden color. This was dragon meat. This was the dragon meat that Lin Feng had previously killed and then stored. Lin Feng took out fine wine and then used a dagger to cut off a piece of dragon meat. Eating and drinking at the same time, he really enjoyed it. If there were a few beauties by his side, that would be too blissful. At this moment, a few streams of light flew over from afar. Obviously, there were cultivators passing by. Lin Feng was not surprised. After all, during this period of time, there had been cultivators taking the risk to enter the weak water sea. There had been cultivators passing by before, but those cultivators did not stop. They were probably in a hurry to go deeper to look for opportunities, so they did not want to waste time on the road. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was relaxed. If he could find an opportunity, of course it would be good. If he could not find an opportunity, it was fine. This time, Lin Feng came to solve the matter of the bracelet of misfortune. The bracelet of misfortune brought bad luck to Lin Feng and all kinds of curses on him. Lin Feng felt that it was also because of the bracelet of misfortune. Now that he had solved the bracelet of misfortune, perhaps his luck would change. This was a very important matter, because luck would play a great role in a cultivator's cultivation. If it were not for Lin Feng's own luck, Lin Feng, who was entangled with so many curses, would have died countless times. Lin Feng glanced at the group of people in the distance, and then continued to enjoy his food and wine. What Lin Feng did not expect was that the few cultivators passing by here actually landed. They probably saw that Lin Feng was alone, and it was a young cultivator, so they landed. If Lin Feng had a lot of people or looked very strong, they would not have rashly landed, because they were worried that they would be schemed against. This kind of thing was very common in the world of cultivators. "Little brother, do you mind if we rest here for a while?" A beautiful woman in a red dress asked. This beautiful woman in a red dress had a voluptuous and sexy figure, fair skin, and fiery red lips. Her face was very beautiful. Her face was a kind of beauty that was full of charm. So this kind of beauty was very attractive to men. It was likely that many people who saw this charming beauty would have the urge to conquer her. Besides this seductive woman, there were 6 other cultivators, 2 female cultivators and 4 male cultivators. The other 2 female cultivators looked slightly younger and were very beautiful, but their figures were different. One of the female cultivators was very tall, about 185 meters tall. It was rare for a woman to be this tall. Her pair of long legs were straight and slender. The other woman was petite and dainty. She was about 1.6 meters tall, pure and lovely. As for the 4 male cultivators, they also looked quite young, but their cultivation was very strong. Lin Feng guessed that this should be an exploration team. Chapter 47:13. Lin Feng's gaze lingered on the beautiful woman for a while. Since these people wanted to rest here, Lin Feng naturally did not have any objections. Anyway, this place was not his. Not to mention, he could also admire 3 beauties with different styles. "Why not?" Lin Feng said. "Of course you can rest here. Everyone, Take a seat. The beautiful woman looked at Lin Feng with a smile and said, "Thank you, little brother." Then the group sat around the bonfire. They took out spirit springs and spirit fruits to quench their thirst or appease their hunger. These things had relatively fewer impurities and were very beneficial for cultivation. Many people in the world of cultivators used these things to replace food. However, Lin Feng felt that these things could not completely replace food. At the very least, they could not replace meat. For a person who could not live without meat, eating these things every day was really a kind of torture. Everyone was eating to replenish their body's energy. However, the tempting meat aroma aroused the appetite of many people. Therefore, many pairs of eyes looked at the barbecued meat above the bonfire. This one is Niu Kuan. How should I address this brother? Among the 4 male cultivators, the tall and burly young cultivator cupped his fists. He first introduced himself, then looked at Lin Feng and asked for Lin Feng's name. Ji, Lin Feng said. The other party guessed that Lin Feng's surname was Ji. In the world of cultivators, there were indeed many people who used their surname instead of their name. The main reason was that they did not want to cause trouble. Therefore, these people did not care. So it's Brother Ji. Niu Kuan looked very enthusiastic and asked, "Did Brother Ji enter the Sea of Weak Water alone?" Lin Feng said, "I came in with a friend. However, something happened and I got separated from my friend." Lin Feng said. Niu Kuan said, "This Sea of Weak Water is very dangerous. If you move alone, it's really dangerous. Why don't Brother Ji move with us? This way, we can take care of each other." The beautiful woman smiled and said, "That's right, little brother. Why don't you come with us? If we find any treasures, I guarantee that you will get a share." "I'm not a little brother." Lin Feng looked at the beautiful woman and muttered in his heart. Of course, he didn't say this to the beautiful woman. Otherwise, he would become a hooligan. Lin Feng said, "Thank you for your invitation. I'll gladly accept. In the future, I'll have to rely on everyone's care." Lin Feng could actually move alone, but in this vast sea, it was a little lonely to be alone. Lin Feng had a good impression of them. They appeared to be quite kind-hearted cultivators. Of course, another important reason was that there were 3 beauties in the group. She was charming and flirtatious. One of them was tall and charming. One of them was pure and lovely. Traveling with a few beauties would naturally add a lot of fun. Even if it was just looking at a few beauties, it was still pleasing to the eye. Actually, Lin Feng liked beautiful women. If his opponents were 7 tall and strong male cultivators, he wouldn't be able to resist them. If they sent an invitation to Lin Feng would reject them without hesitation. "Ha ha ha ha, don't worry. We'll take care of you. If you encounter any danger, Brother Ji, stay close to this old bull. This old bull guarantees that I won't protect you," Niu Kuan said with a smile. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Thank you, Brother Niu." Niu Kuan grinned and said, "Brother Ji, you're welcome." While speaking, Niu Kuan glanced at the roasted meat that was emitting an enticing aroma. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Brother Niu, do you want to try my cooking?" Okay. Niu Kuan quickly nodded. Actually, Niu Kuan wasn't someone who only ate spirit fruits and drank spirit spring water. However, when he was outside, he could only use spirit spring water and spirit fruits to quench his thirst. He didn't have the leisure to roast meat like Lin Feng. Moreover, Niu Kuan had tried roasting meat before. That taste, thinking about it now, made him want to cry. Lin Feng's roasted meat was different. The aroma entered his stomach. Niu Kuan had wanted to try it for a long time. Now that he heard Lin Feng invite him to try it, he was delighted. Naturally, he was overjoyed. Lin Feng cut a piece of roasted meat for Niu Kuan. Niu Kuan ate it, and his eyes immediately lit up. Then, he wolfed down the meat. After so many days, he hadn't seen any meat. Suddenly, eating such delicious roasted meat was simply an enjoyment. Gulp, gulp, gulp. The other 3 male cultivators couldn't help but swallow their saliva when they saw Niu Kuan wolfing down the meat. One of them asked, "Brother Niu, how's the taste of the roasted meat? Is it good?" Niu Kuan replied vaguely, then continued to gnaw on the roasted meat. "Brother Ji, can we have a taste?" The 3 male cultivators looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Of course you can." Don't stand on ceremony. Let's roast again after eating. Lin Feng stabbed the dagger into the roasted meat and told them to cut up as much as they could eat. Brother Ji is really forthright. The male cultivators complimented Lin Feng and sat in front of the bonfire. Then, they each cut a piece of roasted meat and ate it. Then, the three of them also wolfed down the meat as if they had never eaten before. At this moment, the three beauties seemed to have heard their own growls. Normally, they paid more attention to the details of their lives. Sometimes, they would eat some meals. However, they ate carefully cooked meals. However, he never touched barbecued meat. In the eyes of many cultivators, roasted meat was not only unclean, but also had a lot of impurities. This was also the reason why they didn't touch roasted meat. Lin Feng looked at the three beauties and said, "Why don't you three have a taste? It won't affect your cultivation if you eat less." "Then why don't we have a taste?" the pure and pleasant female cultivator said. As she spoke, she looked at the beautiful woman and the tall female cultivator. The two of them nodded. Lin Feng personally cut a small piece of meat for each of them. When the three of them took their first bite, their eyes lit up. Delicious. It was really too delicious. They had never eaten anything so delicious. Apart from the fact that it was delicious, the three of them also felt something. The roasted meat seemed to contain an extremely pure energy. Moreover, this energy was of an extremely high grade. "What kind of roasted meat is this?" The beautiful woman looked at Lin Feng curiously. "Dragon meat," Lin Feng said. "Brother Ji, you really know how to eat. You even dare to eat dragon meat. If the experts of the dragon race find out, they won't let you off. The dragon race is a race that seeks revenge for the smallest grievance." Niu Kuan said. Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's fine. There are very few people who know that this is dragon meat. The dragon race won't find out." The three of them nodded and continued to eat the roasted meat in their hands. The three beauties originally only wanted to take a small bite. However, after the first bite, they couldn't control themselves. Although they didn't wolf down the meat like Niu Kuan and the others. However, the speed at which they ate the roasted meat was extremely shocking. It didn't take long. Chapter 47:14. Awesome. It's really awesome. Niu Kuan patted his stomach. He was now completely full. Moreover, the pure energy contained in the dragon meat was wandering in his body. It made him feel light all over. This feeling was really comfortable. In fact, eating roasted meat might not necessarily hinder one's cultivation. The key was what kind of meat was eaten. Eating ordinary fierce beast meat might have some effect on one's body. But if the roasted meat was dragon meat, not only would it not affect one's cultivation, it was also good for one's cultivation. This was also the reason why the beautiful woman and the others ate so much after knowing that it was dragon meat. Lin Feng chatted with these people for a while. He also had a certain understanding of these people. These cultivators were from the Luo Fu sect. This Luo Fu sect was a sect force in the 9 deity regions. It was the kind of sect that was not particularly strong, but not weak either. They still had some foundation. Ordinary cultivators did not dare to provoke a sect like them. Lin Feng did not know if there was a true immortal realm expert in the sect. They did not say. Lin Feng did not ask either. The beautiful woman was called Yang Ying. The tall beauty was called Yu Mingyao. The pure and lovely beauty was called Zhao Shuefei. The other three male cultivators. The male cultivator in green was called Zhao Chong. He was Zhao Shuefei's cousin. The male cultivator in purple was called Wang Chuan. The male cultivator in black was called Lu Weihao. The strongest one was Yang Ying, who was at the Earth Immortal Realm. In the sect, as the Pill Pavilion Master, she could be considered as a high level in the sect. As for the rest, they were the top young geniuses in the sect. The strongest ones were Niu Kuan and Yu Mingyao. Both of them were at the Loose Immortal Realm. The others were at the Emperor Realm. This team was led by an Earth Immortal Realm expert. Although it could not be considered particularly strong, it could not be considered weak either. The next day, the team set off. Everyone flew all the way to the depths. Along the way, there were many cultivators coming and going. From time to time, some cultivators could be seen fighting. Naturally, dog-eat-dog situations were common occurrences in the world of cultivators. We don't have a top-level protective magic weapon. If we have a top-level protective magic weapon, we can enter the Sea of Weak Water to search. I heard that there are many great opportunities in the Sea of Weak Water. Nyokuin couldn't help but lament. Yanging said, "We'll do as much as we can. We'll only do what we can. We won't force things that we can't do." Although Yanging looked like a seductress, she was still able to see through things. Many people in the cultivation world had lost their lives because of greed. This kind of thing was not uncommon. Roar. A high-pitched dragon roar resounded throughout the world. An earth-shaking dragon roar came from the depths of the cave. Lin Feng and the others also heard the dragon roar coming from the depths. Everyone looked towards the depths. Then, he saw over 1,000 cultivators besieging a huge dragon. That was a poisonous dragon, with a green body that could spit out all kinds of terrifying poisons. Many cultivators died under the attack of the poisonous dragon. But the situation of the poisonous dragon under the siege of so many cultivators was extremely bad. There were many deep wounds on its body, and the blood of the poisonous dragon was dark green blood. It was extremely strange. The poisonous dragon was a creature that flew out from the depths of the Sea of Weak Water. Many people wanted to catch the poisonous dragon, because they felt that the poisonous dragon had been living in the Sea of Weak Water. Where was the most important opportunity in the Sea of Weak Water? The poisonous dragon must know. But, in the end, the poisonous dragon escaped. A large number of cultivators chased after the escaping poisonous dragon. Lin Feng and the others continued to fly towards the depths. 5 days later, they heard a news that an island had appeared in front of them. That island seemed to be the ruins of an ancient sect. Now that the ancient sect had been destroyed, but there were still many things left inside the sect. After hearing this news, Lin Feng and the others also flew towards the island. 1 day later, they saw the island. When Lin Feng and the others arrived, there were already many cultivators on the island. Moreover, there were still many cultivators rushing over from all directions. It seemed that they had also heard the news of the island, so they rushed over. Lin Feng and the others landed on the island. The island was extremely large, and at a glance, they couldn't see the end of the island. After all, it was the ruins of an ancient sect, so the area was naturally very large. Lin Feng and the others flew towards the depths of the island. They came to the depths of the island, where many places were densely covered with restrictions. Someone opened the restrictions and was pleasantly surprised to find a shocking discovery in the restrictions. After some people opened the restrictions, they found the bones of dead experts, and then found storage rings inside. After some people opened the restrictions, they found that there was a cultivation cave behind the restrictions. There were also many good things inside the cultivation cave. Those cultivation caves were probably opened by the cultivators of this sect. How strange. Why are there so many restrictions in this place? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The deepest part of the island was shrouded in rolling black fog. It was an extremely terrifying place that couldn't be casually entered. Some experts tried to enter, but in the end, they died under the attacks of the restrictions in the deepest part of the island. Let's break the restrictions separately, but don't touch the especially powerful ones, Yang said after they arrived at the deepest part of the island. Everyone nodded and split up to break the restrictions. Lin Feng looked towards the depths of the island. That area was the core area of this ancient sect. Who knew what was there? More and more cultivators arrived one after another, including experts from many top forces. Lin Feng even saw some people he recognized. For example, some experts from top factions. Some people also saw Lin Feng, and many of their expressions changed. However, the cultivators who recognized Lin Feng didn't say anything. Not long after, more true immortal level experts arrived. There were 5 or 6 true immortal level experts. Those true immortals had obviously come for the group of palaces in the depths, which were still shrouded in terrifying restrictions. Something good came out. Something good came out. Venting noises sounded from the distance. Someone opened up the restrictions, and then an undying immortal medicine bug unexpectedly flew out. Chapter 47:15. The effects of the immortal herb bug and the immortal herb bug were actually very similar. And Lin Feng wasn't that interested in the immortal herb bug. because Lin Feng had the 9 phoenix immortal fruit of the immortal herb bug. And there was also the humanoid treasure bug that was even more precious than the immortal herb bug. But Lin Feng was very interested in the immortal herb bug, because Lin Feng had heard the demon lord mention the immortal herb bug before. The immortal herb bug had many more uses than the immortal herb bug. If the immortal herb bug's origin blood essence was used to refine the body-tempering pill, it could then reconstruct a cultivator's physical body. Cultivators like Lin Feng, who had a very high cultivation level, could also rebuild their physical bodies. Actually, reconstructing a physical body was something that could be done when one's cultivation level was lower. And now that Lin Feng's cultivation level was so high, if he could still reconstruct his physical body, for him, it was definitely a great opportunity. It was equivalent to raising his cultivation talent by a large margin. So, when Lin Feng heard about the immortal herb bug, he was instantly interested. If it was possible, he had to get the immortal herb bug. He flew forward. After a short time, Lin Feng arrived, but there was already a huge crowd around him. Not even a drop of water could trickle through. Many people wanted to get the immortal herb bug. So, the people who got the immortal herb bug couldn't escape in time. Hand over the immortal herb bug, or today will be the day you die, a cultivator said with a cold smile. His voice contained a strong killing intent. Cultivators for profit. It was enough to cause rivers of blood. Moreover, the immortal herb bug was too precious. It was enough to make countless people go crazy. Right now, the true immortals hadn't received the news yet. If they did, they would definitely rush over as fast as they could. Lin Feng looked at the crowd. To his surprise, the people who were surrounded were Yang Ying and the others. It turned out that the immortal herb bug was obtained by Niu Kuan. But when Niu Kuan obtained the undying immortal medicinal bug, the powerful medicinal properties of the undying immortal medicinal bug spread out, thus alarming many people. Niu Kuan, Yang Ying, Yu Mingyao, and Wang Chuan were very close to each other. They wanted to leave as soon as possible. However, he was surrounded by people. As for Zhao Chong, Zhao Shuefei, and Lu Weihao, they were in the crowd. Even if they rushed over now, they would not be of any help. Instead, they would easily drag Yang Ying and the others down. Therefore, they did not show themselves. What are you waiting for? Hand over the immortal herb bugs, and you can live. Otherwise, this will be your burial ground. Then, someone else sneered. Niu Kuan was naturally unwilling to hand over something as precious as the immortal herb worm. However, he also knew that he had no choice but to hand it over now. The reason for that was because the strongest among them was none other than Yang Ying. However, Yang Ying was only an earth immortal. At this moment, although the true immortals had yet to arrive, some heavenly immortals and quasi-true immortals had already arrived. They were heavily surrounded again. Therefore, he wanted to escape. It was simply too difficult. Yang Ying said, "There's only one immortal herb worm. We can hand it over, but who should we hand it over to? Of course we should hand it over to our Lord. Our Lord is the nephew of the Ruoshui region's area lord. He's also a relative of the Ruoshui region's imperial family. If you don't hand it over to our Lord, who do you want to hand it over to?" At this moment, a cultivator spoke up. So what if the Ruoshui region is? Our Lord is the cousin of the northern wilderness war god. If you want to hand it over, you should hand it over to our Lord. Another cultivator spoke up. Our Lord is the brother-in-law of the heavenly court's second prince. If you want to hand it over, you should hand it over to our Lord. Many people spoke up to ask for the immortal herb worm. Moreover, they all had extraordinary backgrounds. These people were fighting over who would own the immortal herb worm. Yang Ying said, "If that's the case, then the highest bidder will get it. The immortal herb worm will belong to whoever offers the highest price." Yang Ying wanted to maximize the benefits. In fact, her actions were quite reasonable. However, Yang Ying had forgotten one thing. They were not qualified to bargain with the cultivators of these large factions. Weaklings were not qualified to negotiate. Weaklings. They were destined to be bullied. "You're courting death. How dare a mere earthly immortal barter with us? You're courting death." An expert's voice was cold. The person who spoke was an old man. This old man was a sky immortal expert. It's an expert from the 8th-level palace, someone spoke up. They recognized the old man's identity. He was from the 8th-level palace. He was an expert with a deep foundation who had walked out from the Godstone. He stepped forward and sent a palm strike towards Yang Ying. A giant energy handprint condensed in the void and slapped towards Yang Ying. A Sky Immortal expert had attacked. Naturally, the attack he unleashed was extremely terrifying. Therefore, facing the terrifying attack of the Sky Immortal expert from the 8th-level palace, Yang Ying had no way of resisting. Sensing the terror of the attack, Yang Ying's beautiful face revealed an expression of extreme fear. Yang Ying did not expect the opponent to be so tyrannical. He attacked as he pleased. Moreover, he wanted to take her life. "Spare me." Yang Ying begged for mercy. She did not want to die. However, she could not resist the attack, so she could only beg for mercy. "How can I spare you?" The Sky Immortal expert from the 8th-level palace looked indifferent. Naturally, not everyone was as protective of the fairer sex as Lin Feng. Therefore, this Sky Immortal from the 8th-level palace was determined to kill Yang Ying. Niu Kuan and the others' expressions changed greatly. However, they could not help much. Yang Ying wanted to avoid the palm strike, but she found that her body was restrained by the aura emitted by the opponent's terrifying palm strike. There was no way she could avoid the opponent's attack. Yang Ying's beautiful eyes could not help but reveal a deep sense of despair. Just when Yang Ying thought that she was going to die, suddenly, a cultivator appeared in front of Yang Ying out of thin air. The cultivator waved his sleeve. The incoming energy palm was instantly shattered. That was an attack executed by a heavenly immortal realm expert, yet it was actually so easily destroyed by this person. Everyone was shocked. This person's cultivation was so terrifying. However, when everyone looked at the cultivator who attacked, they all revealed an expression of disbelief. Because the cultivator who attacked, he was too young. He was too young. The person who attacked was none other than no one else. It was Lin Feng. Who is he? He's so terrifying. I don't know him. He's so young, but he's so terrifying. However, his identity is a mystery. Could he be the son of some sage emperor who walked out of the divine stone? Based on what you've said, it's really possible. Chapter 47:16. Of course, Lin Feng was one of the strongest cultivators in the younger generation of the human race. However, no one believed that the cultivator in front of them was Lin Feng. In their opinion, Lin Feng should be in the Sin realm. This was the weak water domain. The cultivator army in the weak water domain had suffered heavy losses. If Lin Feng dared to come to the weak water domain and was seen by the domain lord of the weak water domain, would he still be alive? Therefore, everyone believed that the person in front of them might really be a descendant of a sage emperor. At this moment, Yang Ying and the others were looking at Lin Feng in disbelief. They had been with Lin Feng for some time. They had never seen Lin Feng display any particularly powerful strength. Everyone thought that Lin Feng was an ordinary cultivator. Who would have thought that Lin Feng was this terrifying? You. Yang Ying was beginning to speak incoherently. However, she was incomparably excited because she had finally managed to keep her life. Lin Feng looked at Yang Ying and asked, "Are you all right?" After hearing Lin Feng's words of concern, Yang Ying couldn't help but feel happy. Even Yang Ying didn't know why she felt this way. Could it be that Lin Feng was young, handsome, strong, gentle, and cared about her, so she was infatuated with him? She wasn't that kind of little girl anymore. However, the feelings in her heart couldn't be false. Yang Ying hurriedly said, "I'm fine. Thank you for saving me, young Master Ji." Young Master Ji? His surname is Ji? That's a rare surname. Many people couldn't help but frown when they heard Yang Ying call Lin Feng young Master Ji. They had no impression of this powerful clan with that surname. As for the Sovereign Emperor clan, there were too few cultivators who knew of this clan's surname. Young Master Ji, my ass. This guy is Lin Feng. Some cultivators couldn't help but mutter to themselves. However, they didn't remind those who didn't know of Lin Feng's identity because doing so might offend Lin Feng. Naturally, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Brother Ji, you're so powerful. Niu Kuan couldn't help but exclaim. Lin Feng, who had been with them for many days, suddenly became so powerful that they were caught off guard. Even now, he still found it hard to believe. Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'm not that powerful, but I have the ability to protect myself." At this moment, even the long-legged beauty Yu Mingyao and the pure and innocent Zhao Xuefei looked at Lin Feng. Her beautiful eyes shone with extraordinary splendor. Among the spectating cultivators, many female cultivators also looked at Lin Feng. Some female cultivators tried their best to inquire about Lin Feng to see if they could befriend Lin Feng. Such a young hero naturally made many female cultivators secretly fall for him. "Kid, who are you? How dare you meddle in our business?" The 8th-level palace's celestial immortal's expression suddenly sank. He looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Who I am is not something you're qualified to know." Lin Feng's words caused an uproar in the surroundings. Because Lin Feng's words were too arrogant, he didn't put the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal in his eyes at all. He was a celestial immortal expert. Although celestial immortal experts were no longer considered the pinnacle of combat strength with the emergence of celestial immortal experts, however, it wasn't that celestial immortal experts weren't powerful enough. In fact, it was the opposite. Celestial immortal experts were very powerful. Although Lin Feng blocked the attack of the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal, it was obvious that the celestial immortal had just casually attacked. There must be some hidden terrifying means that he hadn't used yet. If the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert used those hidden means, how terrifying would it be? But even so, Lin Feng still didn't put the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert in his eyes. Such an arrogant attitude was indeed hard to understand. Could it be, was Lin Feng really so powerful that he could ignore celestial immortal experts? Even if Lin Feng was the son of the sage emperor, Lin Feng was still too young. To be able to compete with celestial immortals was already extremely heaven-defying and unbelievable. But even if he could compete with celestial immortal experts, he was still far from being able to ignore celestial immortal experts. Of course, there was another extremely important matter. The 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert wasn't alone. He had a group of experts by his side, all of whom were 8th-level palace's experts. Among those people, there might even be celestial immortal experts. Everyone didn't believe that Lin Feng didn't see the other 8th-level palace's cultivators. Lin Feng actually dared to be so arrogant when he saw the other 8th-level palace's cultivators. He really didn't put them in his eyes. Therefore, everyone wanted to see if Lin Feng really had some powerful trump cards. Or was it just because he was arrogant? "Kid, I've seen all kinds of top-notch geniuses, but I've never seen anyone as arrogant as you. Do you really think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you have some strength? Cripple one of your arms now, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." The 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert said with a gloomy expression, his eyes flashing with dense killing intent. Everyone knew that there was no way for both sides to resolve this matter peacefully. Lin Feng said indifferently, "There will always be some people who don't know what they're worth." Lin Feng was obviously mocking the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert. Many people couldn't help but smile bitterly because Lin Feng was really too good at showing off. In fact, many people didn't think highly of Lin Feng. After all, even if Lin Feng really had a way to deal with the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert. However, would the other members of the 8th-level palace sit by and do nothing? Obviously not. Could Lin Feng deal with so many experts of the 8th-level palace by himself? The other experts of the major factions were also watching with great interest. They didn't intervene, but planned to observe the situation first before deciding on their next course of action. "You're courting death." The 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert was furious, and he directly sent a palm strike at Lin Feng. The 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert condensed an illusory world in his hand, which seemed to be an ancient divine country. The living beings in that world were very powerful, and their bodies were shrouded in divine light, just like the ancient titled gods. Divine country in the palm, that's a top-notch divine ability passed down by the 8th-level palace. It seems like the 8th-level palace's celestial immortal expert is getting serious. I wonder if that young cultivator can withstand his attack? Some cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. Everyone looked at Lin Feng and the 8-level palace's celestial immortal expert. Everyone was guessing the outcome of this battle. Chapter 47:17. Be careful, young Master Ji. Yang Ying couldn't help but exclaim worriedly. She didn't want Lin Feng to be in danger. Moreover, Lin Feng only took action to save her. If Lin Feng were to be in danger, she wouldn't be able to eat or sleep well. It's just a small trick. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Many people couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng was either showing off, or he was on his way to showing off. At this moment, Lin Feng also made his move. Facing the terrifying attack of the 8-level palace's sky immortal expert, Lin Feng gently slashed in the void. It met the dazzling sword chi and was sent flying. The dazzling sword chi directly slashed at the divine kingdom formed by the other party, that eternal divine nation. It was instantly torn apart. Then, Lin Feng's sword chi didn't diminish in power. It directly slashed towards the sky immortal expert of the 8-level palace. When they saw this scene, everyone showed an expression of disbelief, because the scene in front of them was really too shocking. That was a powerful attack of a sky immortal expert, but it was broken just like that. Originally, many people thought that Lin Feng was deliberately mystifying and bluffing, but now, they could be sure. Lin Feng was really powerful. However, even though they saw Lin Feng's powerful strength with their own eyes, they still felt a sense of disbelief. The main reason was that Lin Feng was really too young. If Lin Feng was older, he wouldn't need to have a lifespan of hundreds of thousands of years. Even if Lin Feng only had a lifespan of tens of thousands of years, he could display such combat strength. Everyone wouldn't be too surprised. But Lin Feng's lifespan was only a little more than 100 years. Many people at this age hadn't even broken through to the God realm, but Lin Feng was already able to suppress a sky immortal expert. There was a saying that went, "Comparisons are odious." Perhaps this was the logic behind it. At this moment, Lin Feng's sword chi had already arrived in front of the 8-level palace's celestial immortal expert. After sensing the terrifying might of the sword chi, the celestial immortals of the 8-level palace didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly took out a powerful defensive magic treasure. It was a shield that was square in shape. The surface of the shield was densely covered with runes. These runes were formed by interweaving runes. The shield was extremely powerful. At this time, Lin Feng's sword chi chopped down on the shield. Suddenly, a fierce collision sound was heard. After the violent collision, everyone saw that the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace was sent flying along with his shield. Lin Feng's sword chi attack was too terrifying. It was so terrifying that it made people pale with fright. Even a celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace who was holding a defensive shield couldn't block it. This scene caused the expressions of many spectators to change. Wow! In midair, the 8-level palace celestial immortal expert coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. The powerful shockwave caused extremely serious damage to his body. Plop! The celestial immortal expert of the 8-level palace fell to the ground. His face was as white as paper. Who the hell are you? The group of experts of the 8-level palace looked at Lin Feng in horror. Everybody was astonished. Everybody was looking at Lin Feng in astonishment, because the combat strength Lin Feng displayed was too terrifying. This included those who knew Lin Feng before. At this moment, they looked at Lin Feng with deep shock and horror. Lin Feng was even more terrifying than before. No, to be precise, Lin Feng was even more terrifying than before. They really didn't know how Lin Feng managed to raise his cultivation base in such a short period of time. However, when they thought of Lin Feng's father, Lin Beitian, their faces immediately revealed a relieved expression. As the saying went, a tiger father wouldn't beget a dog son. Back then, Lin Beitian was also incomparably heaven-defying. His rise was even faster. Since it was something Lin Beitian could do, Lin Feng, as Lin Beitian's son, could also do it. What was there to be surprised about? Kneel. I won't kill you. Or else. Die. Lin Feng looked at the experts of the 8-level palace with an indifferent expression. His voice sounded like it came from the depths of hell. Surrounded by experts. If so many experts of the major factions attacked Lin Feng together, Lin Feng naturally wouldn't be able to handle it. After all, ants could bite an elephant to death when there were enough of them. Not to mention, there were so many powerful cultivators. Lin Feng was acting so overbearing and domineering towards the people of the 8th-level palace. It was to make an example out of them. He wanted the people of the other factions to not act rashly. Many cultivators of the major factions frowned slightly. Lin Feng's arrogance was indeed beyond their expectations. "We're from the 8th-level palace. Do you know what it means to have us kneel?" A celestial immortal expert said. "So what if you're from the 8th-level palace?" Lin Feng sneered. "My patience is limited. How you choose is up to you." Lin Feng didn't say anything else. However, everyone could feel that dense killing intent from Lin Feng. The female cultivators who were watching the show all admired Lin Feng. They couldn't wait to throw themselves at him. Such a domineering man. He was truly too captivating. "I'll kneel. I'll kneel. Don't kill me." Someone from the 8th-level palace finally couldn't take it anymore. He was worried that Lin Feng would really kill him. With a plop, he knelt on the ground. Then, he begged for mercy from Lin Feng. "Spare me. Spare me." One of them began to beg for mercy. One after another, many others knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Even the faces of the other two celestial immortals turned ugly. They wanted to fight Lin Feng, but when they thought of how Lin Feng had easily injured the other celestial immortal, they couldn't help but smile. The two celestial immortals couldn't help but smile bitterly. The strength that Lin Feng hadn't been able to display before was too strong. It wasn't something that they could contend against. Perhaps only a peak celestial immortal, or even a quasi-true immortal, could contend against Lin Feng. The two celestial immortals knelt on the ground with gloomy expressions. Even celestial immortals are kneeling? Many people looked at each other in dismay. They couldn't believe their eyes. The 8th-level palace's true immortal patriarch is here. At this time, a cultivator in the outer region shouted loudly. Hearing this, everyone looked into the distance and saw an old man flying over. The old man's aura was extremely terrifying, like a living titled god. It was indeed the 8th-level palace's true immortal patriarch. Moreover, he was an old acquaintance of Lin Feng. Even a true immortal patriarch is here. That young master is dead for sure. Many people couldn't help but say. They looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a dead man. "Ha ha ha ha, kid. Let's see how you die later." When the 8th-level palace cultivator saw their true immortal patriarch arrive, he quickly stood up and looked at Lin Feng with a sinister smile. Chapter 47:18. "Young Master Ji, run away quickly," said Yang Ying, Yu Mingyao, Niu Kuan, and the others hastily when they saw the Baji Palace's true celestial cultivators. He couldn't stay in this place any longer. A true immortal realm expert was too terrifying. Who would be able to resist an expert of this level? Lin Feng might have displayed heaven-defying strength, but in everyone's eyes, there was still a huge gap between Lin Feng and a true immortal. However, Lin Feng didn't run away. He still stood there calmly, which made Yang Ying and the others very worried. Many people muttered, "Why didn't Lin Feng run away? Could it be that he knew he couldn't escape, so he decided not to?" After all, the other party was a true immortal. Escaping from the hands of a true immortal was indeed as difficult as ascending to the heavens. 8th-level palace's old ancestor quickly flew over. Someone had already informed him of everything that had happened here. 8th-level palace's old ancestor was naturally furious. In fact, the things that had happened during this period of time had infuriated him. But now, someone actually dared to humiliate 8th-level palace's cultivators. He could make use of this opportunity to vent the resentment in his heart. "How dare you humiliate my 8th-level palace's cultivators? No one in this world can save your life." 8th-level palace's old ancestor's voice was heard even before he arrived. Many people knew that Lin Feng was dead for sure this time. The cultivators from the major factions were more regretful. This was because 8th-level palace's old ancestor was the first true immortal to arrive here. Therefore, the immortal herb-worm of immortality would be taken by 8th-level palace's people. 8th-level palace's old ancestor quickly flew over. "Old ancestor, this is the person who humiliated our 8th-level palace. An 8-level palace's cultivator pointed at Lin Feng, his eyes full of hatred. As a cultivator of 8-level palace, he walked with his head held high and his chest puffed out. He was respected by the world. But now, Lin Feng had forced him to kneel and beg for mercy. This was a great humiliation. They couldn't wait to see Lin Feng's head separated from his body. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor looked in the direction the other party was pointing at. "It's you." When the old ancestor saw Lin Feng, he was so scared that his whole body trembled. His face turned green. He turned around and fled. Before anyone could react, the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor had already fled without a trace. What's going on? Everyone looked at each other in dismay, not knowing what had happened. The old ancestor of the Baji Palace saw Lin Feng. He turned around and fled. This scene was simply too inconceivable, too unimaginable. That was a patriarch of the true immortal realm. How terrifying was his strength? How powerful was he? Why did he turn around and run? Could it be that they were scared away? This thought suddenly flashed through many people's minds. How could this be? When this thought appeared, everyone felt that it was inconceivable. They did not dare to believe all of this. The old ancestors of the 8 Extreme Palace were experts who stood at the pinnacle of the undying realm. He was actually scared away by a junior? This kind of thing was really too unbelievable. However, everything that had happened just now seemed to have confirmed this matter. This young master before them, did he have the strength to scare away a true immortal realm expert? At the thought of this, many people felt as though their hearts were surging with torrential waves. If that were true, it would be way too horrifying. Many people did not even want to believe that it was true. However, the actions of the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor seemed to have explained everything. They had no choice but to believe it. At this moment, the group of cultivators of the 8 Extreme Palace came back to their senses. Their bodies began to tremble violently. When they saw the arrival of the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor, they thought that they could finally take revenge. Who would have thought that? When the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor caught sight of Lin Feng, he was scared out of his wits and fled. And now, they were left to face Lin Feng. Even a true immortal old ancestor was scared to such a state. What did they have to fight against Lin Feng? Misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. The group of 8 Extreme Palace cultivators were on the verge of tears. The group of 8 Extreme Palace cultivators hurriedly knelt on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. Then, the group of people constantly kowtowed and apologized to Lin Feng, including 3 Sky Immortal Realm experts. They were also kowtowing and apologizing. In order to live, they had no choice. They did not want to die. The longer they lived, the more they cherished their lives. Therefore, in the face of dignity and life, these people did not hesitate to choose life. A person dying was like a lamp going out. If they died, everything would be for naught. Therefore, in the eyes of countless people, a bad life was better than a good death. What kind of person is he? He's like a god descending to the mortal world. He's really handsome. I really want to be his woman. Even if it's just for one night, I'm willing. At this moment, many beautiful female cultivators were looking at Lin Feng. Those beautiful female cultivators looked at Lin Feng as if they wanted to eat Lin Feng alive. Now, they wanted nothing more than to throw themselves at him. Lin Feng was like a poison that attracted them, making them willing to sacrifice everything for him. As for those male cultivators, many of them looked at Lin Feng with a kind of worship. After their strength rose to Lin Feng's level, they could no longer feel envious or jealous. They only had admiration and deep worship for Lin Feng. Yang Ying's beautiful eyes were also full of splendor. Such a man made her heart beat faster. Yu Mingyao was the same. Her pair of beautiful eyes were fixed on Lin Feng. She had never paid so much attention to a man, and had such a good impression of him. Young Master Ji is so amazing, Zhao Shuefei said happily. Everyone was still in a state of deep shock. Lin Feng did not bother to pay attention to the 8 Extreme Palace cultivators kneeling on the ground. He looked at Yang Ying, Yu Mingyao, and the others and said, "Let's go." They came back to their senses and hurriedly nodded. Although there were many experts here, many people were eyeing the immortal herb bug covetously. However, they did not dare to stop Lin Feng and the others. Everyone opened a path for Lin Feng and the others. They allowed Lin Feng and the others to leave without a hitch. Zhao Xuefei and the others in the crowd also followed. Everyone flew into the distance. They came to a place where there was no one. "Young Master Ji, how are you so amazing? How did you cultivate?" Zhao Xuefei asked in amazement. Lin Feng smiled and said, "My method may not be suitable for you. Step by step, you will also become stronger and stronger." Niu Kuan and the others cupped their fists and said, "We understand." Niu Kuan then took out the immortal herb bug and handed it to Lin Feng. He said, "Brother Ji, although this thing is precious, leaving it with us might bring about the destruction of our sect. I'll give it to you." Niu Kuan was very generous. Lin Feng took the immortal herb bug and said, "I won't take it for free. I have a treasure here that I'll give to you. I'll use this treasure to exchange for the immortal herb bug." Chapter 47:19. This immortal artifact was called the Immortal Splitting Axe. It was a peak-true immortal artifact and was extremely valuable. Among the dozens of immortal artifacts that Lin Feng had obtained, this immortal splitting axe was definitely one of the more valuable ones. However, Lin Feng had no use for this treasure. He could give it to Niu Kuan. As for Niu Kuan, he was a burly man. His aura was very compatible with this treasure. Is this a peak-true immortal artifact? Niu Kuan was quite knowledgeable. Hence, when he saw this treasure, his eyes widened. His breathing became extremely rapid. Such a treasure. He didn't even dare to dream about it. But now, he was about to obtain such a treasure. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. "You're really giving it to me?" Niu Kuan asked in disbelief. "Of course." Lin Feng nodded again. Niu Kuan took the immortal splitting axe. He played with it lovingly. The others looked at Niu Kuan with envy. Niu Kuan was the one who obtained the immortal herb bug. Hence, when Lin Feng exchanged it for something, Niu Kuan would naturally get the benefits. Hence, everyone could only envy Niu Kuan's good luck. If there was jealousy, there was no jealousy. The relationship between these people was very good. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come out to train together. "I'll spread the news that I obtained the immortal herb bug. This way, you won't have to worry about others targeting you. However, there's an 80% chance that some people will think that you've obtained some benefits from me. Hence, they will attack you. We have to be on guard against this," Lin Feng said. Yang Ying said, "We've already obtained some opportunities. This time, our harvest is not bad. We plan to leave this place. This way, even if someone tries to plot against us, they won't be able to do so." Hearing Yang Ying's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but praise her for her intelligence. Actually, Lin Feng hoped that Yang Ying and the others would leave. He couldn't stay with them forever. Perhaps some people would capture them to threaten him. At this time, it would be beneficial for Yang Ying and the others to leave. It would be beneficial for him as well. However, it was up to Yang Ying and the others whether to leave or not. Lin Feng could not interfere with their thoughts. As for Yang Ying, very smart. Therefore, she also understood the various interests involved, so she decided to leave. "Good. I don't have anything to give you. How about this? I'll give each of you 1,000,000 immortal stones as a parting gift." Lin Feng said with a smile. With a wave of his hand, 7 rivers of immortal stones flew out. Each river was made up of 1,000,000 immortal stones. After seeing the long river of immortal stones, all of them widened their eyes. 1,000,000 immortal stones was an astronomical figure to them. Even though Yang Ying held a high position in the sect, she only received 3,000 immortal stones every month. It was just enough for cultivation. 1,000,000 immortal stones was an astronomical figure even to her, let alone to others. However, these immortal stones were merely a hair from 9 oxen to Lin Feng, not to mention a mere few million immortal stones. Even a few 100,000,000 immortal stones were nothing to Lin Feng. "These immortal stones are too precious. We can't accept it," Yang Ying said. Lin Feng said, "Accept it. You can use it for your cultivation in the future." Seeing Lin Feng's insistence, Yang Ying said, "Thank you, young Master Ji. Thank you, young Master Ji." The others also expressed their thanks one after another. Then, they happily accepted the immortal stones. Young Master Ji, if you have time in the future, you can come to our Luo Fu sect. When the time comes, I will definitely treat you well, Yang Ying said charmingly. Seeing that pair of watery eyes, Lin Feng's heart could not help but tremble slightly. What did Yang Ying mean by this? Could it be that there was another deeper meaning? If he went to the Luo Fu sect, could it be that she wanted to throw herself into his arms? Who could reject such a beautiful woman throwing herself into his arms? Good. If there is a chance, I will definitely go to the Luo Fu sect to see you. Lin Feng nodded and said. After receiving a positive answer, Yang Ying could not help but feel extremely happy. Then, she bid farewell to Lin Feng. The group left. Lin Feng looked at the immortal herb bug in his hand. The immortal herb bug had been sealed by Niu Kuan. Therefore, it could not struggle now. This bug was the size of a thumb. It was milky white. It emitted a refreshing fragrance. The immortal herb bug. You actually obtained the immortal herb bug. At this moment, a voice rang in Lin Feng's mind. This was the voice of the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord had actually awakened. Demon Lord, you're awake, Lin Feng said in surprise. The Demon Lord replied. Lin Feng asked, you don't have to worry about being discovered by the Celestial Emperor now? The Demon Lord said, I have already fused with the skeleton I obtained earlier. Even the Celestial Emperor would have a hard time discovering me. Lin Feng knew that the skeleton the Demon Lord was referring to was Emperor Yao's skeleton. Lin Feng had previously suspected that the Demon Lord's past life was Emperor Yao, one of the 5 emperors of the human race. However, Lin Feng had not asked the Demon Lord about this. Therefore, he did not know if his guess was correct. However, since the Demon Lord had mentioned Emperor Yao's skeleton, then, he could use this opportunity to ask the Demon Lord about it. Lin Feng asked, Demon Lord, your past life, was it the human race's ancient sacred emperor, Yao Di? After hearing Lin Feng's question, the Demon Lord was not surprised. Perhaps he had already guessed that Lin Feng would ask such a question. He said, what difference does it make whether I was or not? Emperor Yao died a long time ago, and I am me. Lin Feng understood the meaning of the Demon Lord's words. In fact, the Demon Lord was indirectly admitting it. His past life was Emperor Yao. However, after Emperor Yao reincarnated, he only had some memories of his past life left, but his soul was already dead. As for those memories, they became the Demon Lord's memories. Later, the Demon Lord awakened those memories. He was the Demon Lord, not Emperor Yao. The Demon Lord did not continue on this topic. He said, you can use the immortal herb bug's blood essence to refine the body-tempering liquid. Aren't you refining the body-tempering pill to reconstruct your body? How did it become the body-tempering liquid? Lin Feng asked. The Demon Lord said, refining the body-tempering pill is extremely difficult. The main reason is that other than the immortal herb bug's blood essence, you also need several precious herbs. Those herbs could not be found in the immemorial era, let alone now. As for refining the body-tempering liquid, it is much easier. Although the herbs required are precious, they can be found. How is the effect? Lin Feng asked. The body-tempering liquid has about 60% of the effect of the body-tempering pill, the Demon Lord said. Lin Feng said, then the effect is not bad. The Demon Lord said, these years, you have collected many spiritual herbs and even immortal herbs. You have also planted many spiritual herbs and immortal herbs. I will go look for them and see if I can gather all the herbs needed to refine the body-tempering liquid. Chapter 47:20. The Demon Lord entered the space-time zone and began to search for the various medicinal ingredients he needed. Lin Feng indeed had a lot of medicinal ingredients here, and there were also a lot of medicinal ingredients planted in the space-time zone. Thus, the Demon Lord was able to find many medicinal ingredients here. However, there were also some medicinal ingredients that the Demon Lord was unable to find. Lin Feng also entered the space-time zone. He asked, how are the medicinal ingredients needed to refine the body-tempering liquid coming along? The Demon Lord said, there are still more than 10 medicinal ingredients that have not been collected. Lin Feng frowned and said, if that's the case, then it seems that there is no way to refine the body-tempering liquid for now. In the future, when we go to some ancient cities, I will go to those big trading companies to search. Those big trading companies should have the medicinal ingredients we need. The demon lord said, "There is no need to go through so much trouble. There are many medicinal ingredients that can be replaced by other spiritual ingredients." Lin Feng also understood this point. For example, when refining certain medicinal pills, when a certain medicinal ingredient could not be found, other similar medicinal ingredients could be used to replace it. However, using other similar medicinal ingredients to replace it was actually risky. This was because one did not know if this medicinal ingredient would conflict with other medicinal ingredients. If there was a conflict, then all the medicinal ingredients would be destroyed. Thus, when using other medicinal ingredients to replace medicinal ingredients that could not be found, one had to be very careful. There could not be any carelessness. This required the cultivator to be extremely familiar with the various medicinal properties of the substitute medicinal ingredients. This time, the demon lord was looking for more than 10 different medicinal ingredients to replace it. The more medicinal ingredients that were substituted, the higher the probability of problems occurring. The immortal herb worm's origin blood essence was incomparably precious, so one naturally had to be very careful. Lin Feng said, "There won't be any problems, right?" The demon lord said, "Don't worry, there won't be any problems." With the demon lord's guarantee, Lin Feng was relieved. Lin Feng continued, "Let's see if we can find the medicinal ingredients we need in the space-time zone." The demon lord immediately began to search for these substitute medicinal ingredients. Finally, the demon lord found more than 10 types of spiritual ingredients that could replace the original medicinal ingredients. In this way, the spirit herbs needed to refine the body-tempering liquid were all collected. Apart from the immortal herb worm's origin blood essence, the demon lord also needed 7 types of immortal herbs, 30 types of sacred herbs over 300,000 years old, 70 types of sacred herbs between 100,000 and 300,000 years old, and 351 types of spirit herbs between 10,000 and 100,000 years old. The demon lord said, "I need to borrow your heavenly fire." Lin Feng nodded and said, "The purple earthcore fire is more effective in refining elixirs. Let's use the purple earthcore fire," said Lin Feng while summoning the purple earthcore fire. He then summoned the primordial magic cauldron. Lin Feng then took out a drop of essence blood from the undying immortal herb bug. The immortal herb insect only had a few drops of essence blood in its body. After Lin Feng took the drop of original blood essence, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The immortal herb bug instantly became dispirited and listless. The demon lord said, "Find some top-grade spirit herbs to feed it. If you have enough immortal herbs, that would be even better. Feeding it with immortal herbs would have the best effect. However, you must not feed it to death. This kind of immortal herb bug, if you don't feed it, it can enter a state of deep sleep and not die. If you feed it, it will keep eating until it bloats to death." Hearing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Was it trying to be a bloated ghost? This made Lin Feng quite speechless. Lin Feng said, "I will be careful. I won't let it directly bloat to death." The demon lord nodded, and then began to refine the body-tempering liquid. Lin Feng took out the purple earthcore fire to help the demon lord. Refining this kind of body-tempering liquid was not difficult for the demon lord. Of course, even so, he still had to pay attention to the things that he should pay attention to, because after all, he only needed to take one wrong step. At that time, it was very likely that this refining would fail. This kind of thing was actually very common. Many cultivators had made some mistakes during the process of refining medicine. This led to the destruction of the refined medicine. This would lead to the loss of all the spirit herbs. If the spirit herbs were easy to find, it would be fine. But what if the spirit herbs were not easy to find? That would be terrible. Fortunately, when the demon lord was refining, he was very careful and focused. After spending 3 days, the demon lord successfully refined the body-tempering liquid. Then, the demon lord put the body-tempering liquid into 2 porcelain bottles. He took one of the porcelain bottles for himself. The other porcelain bottle was given to Lin Feng. The demon lord said, "I left a part of the body-tempering liquid that I need. The rest of the liquid is in here." I estimate that you can use a part of this liquid to reconstruct your body for the second time. As for the rest of the liquid, you can give it to those little guys in the time-space. Lin Feng knew that the little guys that the Demon Lord was talking about were Bibi and the others. Lin Feng nodded and said, "No problem, but they are still sleeping. Let's wait for them to wake up." Okay. The Demon Lord responded and then returned to the Demon Orb. Lin Feng guessed that there might have been some problems when the Demon Lord fused with Emperor Yao's skeleton. Therefore, he urgently needed this body-tempering liquid to repair some of the problems in his body. Lin Feng certainly hoped that the Demon Lord could become stronger. This would also have many benefits for him. After the Demon Lord returned to the Demon Orb, Lin Feng looked at the space porcelain bottle in his hand that contained the body-tempering liquid. His face couldn't help but reveal a happy expression. Lin Feng couldn't wait to reconstruct his body for the second time. This body-tempering liquid couldn't be directly swallowed. Instead, it had to be diluted in water. Then, it could be slowly refined and absorbed. Only in this way could the medicinal effects of this spirit liquid be fully unleashed. Of course, there was also an extremely important reason. This body-tempering liquid was very domineering. If it was directly swallowed, not only would it not have the effect of tempering the body, it would even cause extremely serious damage to one's body. This was what the Demon Lord had warned Lin Feng before. Therefore, Lin Feng filled the primordial magic cauldron with spirit spring water. Then, he poured some body-tempering liquid, took off his clothes, and jumped into the body-tempering liquid. Lin Feng activated the ancient dragonesque elephant art. He began to absorb the pure energy contained in the body-tempering liquid. As time passed, the pure energy contained in the body-tempering liquid was gradually absorbed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng could even hear crackling sounds coming from his body. Chapter 47:21. Comfortable, comfortable, comfortable. This feeling was really comfortable. It was as if he was going to transform from a mortal to an immortal. It was really like floating in the air. Now Lin Feng felt as if all the pores in his body had opened up. All the pores seemed to be greedily breathing in the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Lin Feng had never felt so comfortable. Lin Feng knew the benefits of the second transformation of the physical body might be much more than imagined. Lin Feng suddenly felt a sticky feeling on his body. This was because the impurities in Lin Feng's body were being expelled. In fact, sometimes when we try to expel the impurities in our body, we can't expel them. It's not because there are no more impurities in our body. It's because the method we use, or the elixir we use, doesn't work. The higher the cultivation, the harder it is to expel the impurities in the body. The higher the cultivation, the higher the body's requirements for various elixirs. And obviously, this body-tempering elixir was too extraordinary. As the impurities in the body were expelled, Lin Feng felt more and more relaxed, and his body seemed to have a very special blend with heaven and earth. It was as if he had completely merged with heaven and earth. His body also became more clean. But Lin Feng couldn't extravagantly hope that his body would become flawless. Actually, being flawless was just a beautiful dream, nothing more. Flawless meant that there were no impurities in the body. How was this possible? One had to know that even drinking spirit spring water would accumulate some impurities in the body. It was just that the food was different. The accumulated impurities were also different, except for some foreign impurities. A cultivator's own body would also continuously produce impurities, toxins, and other things. Therefore, flawless didn't exist. But even if it didn't exist, a cultivator could make himself as close to the state of flawless as possible. This state was extremely important for a cultivator. It could make them more compatible with heaven and earth. And this compatibility, it could help them comprehend a more mysterious great Tao. Lin Feng now felt that his body seemed to be more compatible with heaven and earth. This feeling was really comfortable. Time passed little by little. Lin Feng's body had been undergoing a deep transformation. No one knew how much time had passed. Lin Feng's body was covered in a layer of black substance. Those were the impurities and toxins that were expelled from the body. And at this moment, Lin Feng finally opened his eyes. Heavens! My body actually discharged so many filthy things. Lin Feng's face was filled with disbelief when he saw the filth on his body. This was because Lin Feng often used heavenly fire to temper his body. Therefore, Lin Feng felt that there were very few impurities and toxins in his body. But now he knew. His previous thoughts. Big mistake. Lin Feng carefully sensed his current situation, and his face suddenly revealed a look of ecstasy. The body of a true immortal. Lin Feng's body. He had successfully broken through to the true immortal realm. This was definitely a major transformation. His cultivation had yet to break through to the true immortal realm. Even so, his fleshly body had already broken through to the true immortal stage. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. It was hard to imagine that a true immortal body could unleash 6 times the combat strength of the arm of the dragonesque elephant. When the time came, what kind of terrifying level would the combat strength of the arm of the dragonesque elephant reach? Of course, Lin Feng could not only increase the power of the arm of the dragonesque elephant to the peak after his body had broken through to the true immortal realm. Lin Feng's other abilities would also be greatly enhanced. For example, the war god of the dragonesque elephant that Lin Feng could summon would also be more powerful. This was because Lin Feng's body could withstand more power from the war god of the dragonesque elephant. Therefore, the combat strength of the war god of the dragonesque elephant would also be more terrifying than before. If my Archean dragonesque elephant skill can break through to the 6th level and comprehend the divine body of the dragonesque elephant, my combat strength will definitely increase greatly. Lin Feng couldn't help but mumble to himself. Lin Feng's Archean dragonesque elephant skill was now at the 5th level. The first 5 levels were Draconesque Elephant Shadow, Draconesque Elephant Saint Power, Draconesque Elephant Original Spirit, Draconesque Elephant Fighting Spirit, Draconesque Elephant Arm War God of the Draconesque Elephant. The 6th level of the Archean dragonesque elephant skill was called the Divine Body of the Draconesque Elephant. The arm of the draconesque elephant was only one of the abilities of the draconesque elephant. The divine body of the draconesque elephant was different. Once the divine body of the draconesque elephant was successfully cultivated, Lin Feng's body would be able to reach the level of the draconesque elephant's body. This would be absolutely heaven-defying. One had to know. The draconesque elephant's body could suppress the true dragon, white tiger, and other terrifying sacred beasts. It could also suppress creatures from the divine demons and demon gods who were known for their powerful bodies. Therefore, if Lin Feng's body reached the level of the draconesque elephant's body, his combat strength would be unimaginable. However, the 6th level of the Archean dragonesque elephant skill was extremely difficult to cultivate. Lin Feng had been trying to break through, but to no avail. Of course, Lin Feng wouldn't give up. He was confident in himself. Soon after, he would definitely be able to break through. Lin Feng tried to contact the Demon Lord, but the Demon Lord didn't reply to Lin Feng. It seemed that the Demon Lord was still cultivating. At this time, Bibi, Little Black, and Little Dragon woke up one after another. After seeing these little guys wake up, Lin Feng began to let Bibi and the others temper their bodies. Lin Feng prepared the spirit spring water for them. Then he mixed the body-tempering spirit liquid. Bibi and the others entered the primordial magic cauldron and began to absorb the spirit liquid. Lin Feng washed the dirt off his body, changed into clean clothes, and walked out of the time-space. Rumble. At this moment, an earth-shattering sound came from the depths of the island. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, he floated in the air and looked towards the depths of the island. He saw, in the depths of the island, many strong cultivators were fighting against a group of demons and gods. Lin Feng was astonished. Those divine demons had 3 heads and 6 arms and were abnormally powerful. They were the divine demons that had rushed out from the restriction in the depths of the island. Although the large factions outside had sent out many experts and even used treasures like sacred weapons. However, they still couldn't defeat those dozens of divine demons. Those dozens of divine demons were simply too powerful. They aren't living beings. When Lin Feng got closer to the depths, he discovered something shocking. Those gods and devils were long dead, refined into puppets. A group of puppet divine demons. They were actually so powerful. Back then, these divine demons must have been extremely powerful. As for the cultivators who killed these fiend gods and refined them into puppets, they were even more terrifying. Chapter 47:22. There were also a lot of cultivators who came to watch the show. Many of them were discussing the battle. This was already the 7th time these major factions had joined forces to attack the restriction in the depths of the island. In the beginning, they were only met with a counterattack from the restriction. Later on, many powerful god-fiend puppets appeared. Those fiend god golems were extremely powerful, and no one dared to underestimate them. In order to kill those god-fiend puppets, the major factions suffered heavy losses. I heard that the sect in the depths of this island is the famous Soaring Heaven sect. It's no wonder these major factions are so crazy. A cultivator said, Soaring Heaven sect? What kind of faction is that? I've never heard of it. Another cultivator said, he had never heard of the Soaring Heaven sect. The main reason was that the Soaring Heaven sect had existed for too long. That was why there were so few cultivators who knew about it. Lin Feng also heard the cultivators' conversation and could not help but frown slightly. The Soaring Heaven sect. What kind of sect was that? Lin Feng was a cultivator who ascended from the lower realm. Therefore, he was even less familiar with the factions in the Undying Realm, not to mention the factions that had disappeared in the past. Lin Feng did not even have a clear understanding of many of the current factions. He did not interrupt and instead listened carefully to the cultivators' conversation. The Soaring Heaven sect is an amazing sect. At that moment, the cultivator said, in the past, when the Soaring Heaven sect was at its peak, it once intimidated thousands of worlds. Even the Heaven Master of the Heaven Realm feared the Soaring Heaven sect. What? The Soaring Heaven sect is that powerful? Many cultivators exclaimed when they heard the cultivators' introduction of the Soaring Heaven sect. They could not believe what they were hearing. The Soaring Heaven sect. It was indeed shocking that a sect that many people had never heard of had such a glorious past. At that moment, Lin Feng thought of those powerful god-fiend puppets. They killed god-fiends and refined them into god-fiend puppets. This faction was indeed terrifying. That was why it could be so intimidating back then. Lin Feng didn't find it strange. The cultivator said, the Soaring Heaven sect was indeed very powerful back then. I heard that the sect master of the sect was called the Soaring Heaven Sage. He brought the Soaring Heaven sect to an extremely glorious level. If the Soaring Heaven sect had taken root in the Undying Realm, it might have been able to survive until now and would have been one of the most terrifying forces there. However, the Soaring Sky Saint felt that the Undying Realm was limiting the sect's development, so he decided to move the sect to the Wasteland world. Thus, Soaring Sky Saint used a supreme technique to put the Soaring Heaven Gate into his sleeve and brought it to the abandoned Earth. However, it's said that not long after he arrived in the Wasteland, he provoked a powerful person in the Wasteland. As a result, the Flying Sky Sage was killed. Later on, the Flying Sky Saint's corpse fell into the endless starry sky. Now, it seems that the Flying Sky Saint's corpse is very likely here. After hearing this, many people couldn't help but exclaim. A powerful existence like the Soaring Sky Saint was actually killed by an expert from the Wasteland. Weren't the cultivators from the Wasteland a bit too powerful? In fact, many cultivators in the Undying Realm had more or less heard about the Wasteland. However, even though he had heard of the Wasteland, he had never thought that the Wasteland would be this powerful. Someone said with emotion, I'm sure when the Soaring Sky Saint was killed, the others from the Soaring Heaven sect were also dead. Someone else added, that's right. All that's left are these ruins and the Flying Sky Sage's corpse. If the Flying Sky Sage hadn't ascended to the Wastelands with his sect, he wouldn't have ended up like this, right? Another cultivator said, during the Titled God era, experts were born in large numbers. In fact, heaven-defying characters often appeared during the Titled God era. Due to various reasons, when these heaven-defying characters ascended to the heavenly realm or the Undying Realm, they would think of ways to bring their families and disciples to these places. Some even wanted to move their entire sect there. Some were successful in doing so, but some didn't. Due to various reasons, they weren't able to establish a foothold in the world they ascended to. This also caused their families, friends, and sect members to suffer along with them. An old man nodded in agreement. Yes, this situation is indeed quite common. That's why when one ascends to a higher realm, the first thing one needs to do is establish a foothold in this world. Only after establishing a foothold can one think about bringing their families, friends, or sect members over. This way, they won't die for nothing. Lin Feng obtained some useful information from the discussions of these cultivators. This Soaring Heaven sect was definitely an extraordinary sect. One could imagine that there were many extraordinary things in the core area of the Soaring Heaven sect. For example, the various treasures that the Soaring Heaven sect had accumulated over the years. Another example was the Soaring Heaven Sage's corpse. If one could find the Soaring Heaven Sage's corpse, wouldn't it mean that one would also find the Soaring Heaven Sage's inheritance? The Soaring Heaven Sage was a tyrannical existence, so one could only imagine how powerful his inheritance would be. The fiend god puppets once again blocked the attacks of the various large factions. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. He even suspected that the Soaring Heaven Sage had taken the entire island into his sleeve back then. Before the Soaring Heaven Sage met his calamity, he quickly used a restriction to seal the entire island. Therefore, this was why the island wasn't destroyed. However, the Soaring Heaven Sage wasn't able to save the lives of his disciples and disciples. Those people died one after another in that battle. It was very normal for a battle between peak powerhouses to kill a group of cultivators. Since the fiend god puppets weren't living beings, they had been preserved until now. Many large factions had no choice but to withdraw from the battlefield. Not long after, news spread that the Chu family's ancestor would arrive with an ancient weapon. The ancient weapon that the Chu family's ancestor brought with him was the six-eyed sky destroyer sword that Lin Feng saw before. It was indeed an extremely terrifying ancient weapon. 3 days later, the Chu family's ancestor arrived. The various true immortals assisted the Chu family's ancestor in activating the six-eyed sky destroyer sword. The two sides once again engaged in a great battle. The fiend gods were still very powerful, but the might of the ancient weapon was simply too frightening. The fiend gods couldn't stop the terrifying might of the ancient weapon and were all destroyed. Afterward, these large factions destroyed the restriction protecting the core area of the Soaring Heaven sect. Next, Chapter 47-23. The rest of the cultivators only dared to fly toward the core area of the Soaring Heaven sect after the cultivators from the major factions rushed toward it. Lin Feng was also among the crowd. Lin Feng was actually hoping to find some great opportunities. This was because Lin Feng was about to break through to the Void Immortal realm. However, for now, Lin Feng had yet to think of how to break through to this realm. The main reason was that Lin Feng's accumulation was too powerful. It was extremely difficult for him to break through with such a powerful accumulation. It was almost unrealistic to rely on his own methods to break through. Therefore, if he wanted to break through, he needed to rely on some great opportunities. But obviously, great opportunities were not so easy to obtain. However, there was an opportunity in front of him. He just did not know if there was a great opportunity that Lin Feng wanted to see. It didn't take long for many cultivators to arrive at the core area. There were many palaces here, and many of them had powerful restrictions. Therefore, many people scattered around and began to break the restrictions on those palaces. After some of the palaces were opened, a great battle broke out inside because terrifying corpses appeared in those palaces. They were probably corpses that were transformed from the cultivators of the Soaring Heaven sect back then. Those corpses were extremely terrifying and many cultivators were killed. Of course, there were many cultivators who entered this place. Therefore, although those corpses were very powerful, they could not escape. They were all killed. Some cultivators were luckier and did not encounter any corpses after opening the palaces. Instead, they found many good things in the palaces. Therefore, they quickly put away the treasures in the palaces. Of course, there were also some people who did not have time to put away the treasures after opening the palaces. Cultivators from other factions rushed over. Both sides immediately engaged in a fierce battle. Lin Feng did not participate in these battles, so ordinary treasures could not attract Lin Feng's attention. Only some extremely extraordinary treasures or inheritances could make Lin Feng's heart palpitate. Lin Feng used the dragon-searching tactic, which was a method he obtained from the immeasurable Taoist. The dragon-searching tactic could sense some extraordinary things. Lin Feng's gaze turned towards a palace in the depths. He felt that there might be something astonishing in that palace. The palace's restrictions were very powerful. When Lin Feng arrived, no one had managed to break through the palace's restrictions. Lin Feng began to break the palace's restrictions. His methods were extraordinary, so it didn't take long for the palace's restrictions to be broken. Lin Feng then entered the palace. The area of this palace was very large. There were many corpses of cultivators in the hall. In the depths of the hall, there was a shrine. There was an ancient god enshrined on top of the shrine. Lin Feng looked at the statue of the ancient god. It was a middle-aged man who looked very dignified. Perhaps he was an ancient expert of the Soaring Heaven sect. In fact, the Soaring Heaven sect was already extremely powerful before the Soaring Heaven saint. Quite a number of experts had also appeared. However, the Soaring Heaven sect's most glorious period was when the Soaring Heaven saint ruled it. Perhaps this was a powerhouse in the history of the Soaring Heaven sect that predated the Soaring Heaven saint. After Lin Feng arrived, cracking sounds could be heard from the statue. Time passed. The statue's divine power had completely dissipated. Therefore, the statue could not continue to exist. Hence, the statue self-destructed. That's... Suddenly, Lin Feng exclaimed in surprise because he saw something in the statue. It was a black fragment. Lin Feng held the fragment in his hand. He sensed a terrifying wave of energy from the fragment. Lin Feng's face revealed an extremely shocked expression. What is this fragment? The fluctuations contained within were so powerful that even he found it somewhat inconceivable. However, Lin Feng noticed that the powerful fluctuation quickly disappeared. Lin Feng could not help but frown. Isn't the fluctuation disappearing too quickly? He tried to sense if there was anything special about the fragment. However, when Lin Feng used his divine telekinesis to sense the fragment, Lin Feng felt as if his head was about to split open. Pain, pain, pain. It was simply too painful. It felt as if his soul had been split open by a sword. This feeling, it was worse than death. Lin Feng hurriedly retracted his divine telekinesis. His face was a little pale as he looked at the mysterious black fragment. What's the origin of this thing? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. That fragment was so extraordinary that even Lin Feng felt that it was inconceivable. Furthermore, Lin Feng noticed that there were no runes or imprints on the fragment. It looked ordinary, but it was extremely strange. Lin Feng knew that he would not be able to discover the secret of this fragment for the time being. As such, he then put the fragment away. If he had the chance in the future, he would try to discover the secret of this fragment again. Perhaps there would be some shocking gains. Lin Feng kept the dead cultivator's storage rings. Lin Feng used his divine telekinesis to sense them and found that some of the storage rings were still in good condition. However, there were also a few that were already damaged. There were quite a lot of good things in those intact storage rings. Aside from the mysterious black fragment and the dead cultivator's storage rings, Lin Feng did not find anything else. He walked out of the palace and continued to search for his next target. Intense fluctuations came from the depths of the palace. After someone opened a palace, a brass cauldron flew out from the palace. The brass cauldron was very terrifying and fought against many cultivators. A large number of cultivators were killed. A saint artifact. Lin Feng was shocked. It was a saint artifact. It was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. Lin Feng's Bell of Hell should be a saint artifact-level treasure. Such supreme treasures were usually forged by sage emperors or devil masters. That was why such treasures were extremely rare. After all, in the history of the New Age, there weren't many combatants of this level. The appearance of the brass cauldron caused quite a commotion. A large number of cultivators surrounded it and began to attack it. In the end, the power of the brass cauldron was scattered. Just as the cultivators of the major factions were about to fight for the ownership of the brass cauldron, suddenly, the void of space split open. Then the void of space split open and swallowed the brass cauldron. After that, the void of space closed up again. The brass cauldron disappeared without a trace. Someone stole the brass cauldron. Who is it? Show yourself. The cultivators of the major factions roared in anger. They couldn't find the other party. In the end, the cultivators scattered. They all went to find new targets. Not long after, Lin Feng saw an old acquaintance. It was a fat Taoist with a wretched appearance. Taoist Wu Liang. It was this guy. Lin Feng didn't expect to see Taoist Wu Liang here. Chapter 47-24. Lin Feng quickly flew towards the immeasurable Taoist. This damn Taoist was so sneaky that he actually did not notice Lin Feng. Someone come quickly. The sacred artifact has been snatched away by this damn Taoist. Lin Feng shouted. Hearing this, immeasurable Taoist was so scared that his entire body trembled, and he turned around to run. But when he realized that there was no one around, he heaved a sigh of relief. And why did immeasurable Taoist feel that this voice was so familiar? He turned his head to look. The corner of his mouth twitched violently. It was actually an old acquaintance. Aren't you wicked? Don't you know that scaring people to death is scary? Immeasurable Taoist said snappily. Lin Feng laughed and said, It's been a long time since we last met. Can't we make a joke when we meet? Immeasurable Taoist curled his lips and did not dwell on this matter. Instead, he said, I heard that you have become awesome and have become the emperor of the sinner's blood. You are the king of the sin realm. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. Dominating the world was not a good word. He made it sound as if he was a tyrant who was causing trouble. Lin Feng said, Are you interested in following me? When the time comes, I will give you an important position and let you have a taste of having 1,000,000 troops under your command. Immeasurable Taoist said, Come on. I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in the undying realm's opportunities. This undying realm is indeed not something that the mortal world can compare to. The opportunities here, the ancient tombs here, and the good things unearthed are all unimaginable. At this point, Immeasurable Taoist grinned. It seemed that Immeasurable Taoist had obtained a lot of good things in the undying realm during this period of time. Moreover, Lin Feng felt that the sacred artifact brass furnace was most likely taken away by Immeasurable Taoist. This guy's methods were extraordinary, and he had secretly stolen magic treasure more than once or twice. Lin Feng said, Haven't you gotten a lot of treasures over the years? Why do you need so many treasures? Immeasurable Taoist grinned and said, Brother, let me remind you, there's absolutely no harm in collecting as many treasures as possible. It's related to our own lives. Actually, Lin Feng understood this logic. Because on the path of cultivation, we will encounter all kinds of dangers and troubles. In each case, the magic treasures used might be different. Moreover, it doesn't mean that a powerful Dharma artifact will be of use. Many times, we need to bring out a treasure that can restrain our opponent in order to turn defeat into victory. For example, we encountered some terrifying evil ghosts. Lin Feng had many powerful magic treasures. Excluding the ancient weapons that could not be activated for the time being, Lin Feng also had the stone sword, the bell of Helking, the sky drum, the magic lotus, and other treasures. The stone sword was powerful enough, right? However, when dealing with those evil ghosts, the stone sword might not be very useful. This was because those evil ghosts possessed some extremely extraordinary techniques. As for those methods, it was very likely that it could restrain the stone sword. But if he used the Helking's bell, the effect would be different. At this moment, violent fluctuations came from the depths of the cave. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang were both alarmed. Lin Feng said, It seems to be a fluctuation from the core main hall in the deepest part of the cave. Taoist Wu Liang nodded and said, Let's go there and take a look. I feel that there is definitely something good in that place. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang quickly rushed towards the depths of the cave. Soon, they arrived here. Many experts were breaking the restrictions in the depths of the cave. Those restrictions were very terrifying, and it was very difficult to break them. However, the experts of those large factions had ancient weapon-level treasures like the six-eyed Sky Destroyer sword. Naturally, they were fearless. They broke the formation with brute force. The powerful restrictions were constantly being destroyed. Of course, those restrictions would also counterattack. Many restrictions released extremely tyrannical attacks. Some of the cultivators died under the attacks of the restrictive spells. Lin Feng did not appear. Among those top experts, there were a few of his enemies. For example, the Patriarch of the Baji Palace. Previously, when this guy saw Lin Feng, he turned around and ran because he was alone. But now, the Patriarch of the Baji Palace had the Patriarch of the Black Sand region and the itinerant cultivator called Daoist Qing Xian beside him. The Patriarch of the Black Sand region and the Patriarch of the Chu family who wielded the ancient weapon had a deeper relationship. This was because the Patriarch of the Black Sand region originally came from the Chu family. However, as time passed, the bloodline became more and more distant. Therefore, the connection became less and less. But after all, their ancestors came from the same bloodline. So, it was not wise for Lin Feng to appear now. If these people saw him, if the Patriarch of the Black Sand region could invite the Patriarch of the Chu family, this would be extremely dangerous for Lin Feng. He could not resist the power of the other party's ancient weapon. As time passed, the powerful restrictions outside the core main hall were destroyed more and more. Finally, those restrictions were completely destroyed. The core main hall was completely exposed to everyone's sight. The core main hall was 300 meters tall and covered an area of about a few hundred acres. It was really too huge. It was as if it was made of gold. Above the main door, there was a huge plaque. On the plaque, there were 4 words written in calligraphy. Flying Heaven Immortal Hall. The Flying Heaven Immortal Palace flies to the 9th heaven. Once you enter the Flying Heaven, you are as deep as the sea. If you ask where the gods are, the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace seeks the Flying Heaven. Suddenly, a voice came from the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Where did this voice come from? Moreover, the words just now seemed to be a very strange limerick. After hearing this limerick, many people could not help but frown slightly. This was because this limerick was definitely not as simple as a limerick. It seems to be a voice that was imprinted from the past. What does that limerick mean? Some cultivators could not help but mutter to themselves, perhaps it means that there is an inheritance in the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace that even the gods are envious of. Someone explained. This was indeed a reasonable explanation. At this time, those top-notch experts had already entered the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace. After those top-notch experts entered the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace, the cultivators from the large factions also entered the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace. After that, the cultivators from the small and medium-sized factions and rogue cultivators also began to pour into the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace. Lin Feng and Daoist Wu Liang also entered the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace. This palace was clearly divided into many layers. After entering the first layer, Lin Feng felt a gloomy and cold aura enveloping his body. The palace was gloomy and eerie. Perhaps it was because the palace had been closed for too long. That was why it emitted such a gloomy and eerie aura. There's a passage there. There's a passage there too. There's a passage there too. There are so many passages. Do they all lead to the depths of the Flying Heaven Immortal Palace? Many cultivators pointed at their surroundings. Everyone looked over, and sure enough, they saw one tunnel after another. Those tunnels were pitch black. Chapter 47:25. Come, let's go in and take a look. Some cultivators said to their companions beside them, if they wanted to get good things, they had to enter those passageways and then enter the palace in the depths. So even if they knew that there might be danger inside, they had to go forward. Cultivators had always been like this. If they retreated, they would definitely end up with nothing in the end. The current era was different from before. In the past, the era was long. Cultivators might not be willing to take risks to explore some dangerous places again and again. And now, the doomsday battle was imminent. They had to quickly improve themselves, or else they would definitely die in the doomsday battle. The current situation, cultivators were forced to think of ways to improve themselves. After many cultivators chose a passageway, they entered those passageways. Lin Feng and Daoist Wu Liang also chose a passageway. There were still many cultivators who entered the passageway together. The passageway was very quiet. The sound of walking could be heard clearly. The surroundings were very dark, so the visibility was relatively low. Moreover, their spiritual will was actually suppressed very much here. They didn't know if there was a special law that shrouded this area, and that special law was suppressing the spiritual will of the cultivators who entered this place. Lin Feng felt that this was very likely. Some cultivators took out the night luminescent pearl, hoping to dispel the darkness, so that this place would become bright. Crack. However, as soon as the night luminescent pearl was taken out, it immediately cracked. An invisible force acted on the night luminescent pearl and then destroyed it. Therefore, the night luminescent pearl was eventually destroyed. Some people didn't believe it and took out a new night luminescent pearl. However, the new night luminescent pearl was instantly destroyed. It was really strange. Everyone could only move forward in the darkness. The passageway was very deep and many people were whispering to each other to dispel the trace of uneasiness and fear in their hearts. Crack, crack. Not long after, there was a strange sound, as if something was being stepped on. Everyone looked over. They immediately discovered that there were many skeletons on the ground. These were cultivators who had died a long time ago. Therefore, their corpses had long decayed, leaving only skeletons. The storage rings were all taken away by the people who came in before us. Some cultivators couldn't find any storage rings after searching for a while and couldn't help but feel a little depressed. The group continued to walk deeper into the cave. Not long after, some rooms appeared on both sides of the passage. Some of the rooms were sealed by restrictions while some didn't. However, the rooms without restrictions had already been opened. It should be the cultivators who opened the doors. Many cultivators entered the opened rooms, but didn't find anything inside. Motherf *Ker, they really didn't leave anything for us. Those cultivators from the big sects are really evil. A cultivator cursed. The first ones to enter were the experts from the major forces. Now, the cultivators who entered were basically cultivators from the minor forces or loose cultivators. No one could find anything. Clearly, those items had been collected by the cultivators who came in earlier. Taoist Wuliang couldn't help but curse. A bunch of bastards, eating the meat but not leaving us any soup. Although Taoist Wuliang had been searching for all sorts of supreme treasures all these years, in reality, he had only left behind a portion of supreme treasures. As for the rest, he would either sell them or exchange them for things he needed. As a rogue cultivator, it was hard to survive. Taoist Wuliang's strength had been growing rapidly. Naturally, it had something to do with the large number of treasures he had taken out to exchange for cultivation resources over the years. Maybe we can break the restrictions of these rooms and see what good things are inside, a cultivator said, wanting to open the doors of those rooms. Many people took action. They began to break the restrictions of some rooms. Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang chose a room. They felt that the room was very extraordinary. Soon, they broke the restrictions protecting the room. Then, the two of them entered the room. As soon as they entered the room, they saw a woman in snow-white clothes. Her back was facing the two of them. Her figure was so graceful and moving. She was definitely a peerless beauty. However, Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang couldn't help but feel their hair stand on end, because it was impossible for a woman to appear in this place. The other party, not a person. Let's go. The woman's aura was very terrifying. Therefore, Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang didn't plan to stay here at all. They quickly left the room and closed the door. Then, Lin Feng began to add restrictions and reseal the room. Bang, bang, bang. The woman in the room, to be precise, was the Een corpse. It constantly bombarded the door, wanting to rush out. However, Lin Feng didn't let this existence do as it wished. He sealed it in the room. However, the other cultivators also opened the doors and entered. Then, screams came out, because there were terrifying evil spirits hidden in the room. They all attacked the cultivators who entered the room. Then, he rushed out. They died too miserably back then. Their resentment didn't dissipate, and they turned into Een corpses. Taoist Wuliang's expression changed drastically. These people must have been very powerful back then. Otherwise, The corpse they turned into wouldn't be so powerful, Lin Feng said in horror. He and Taoist Wuliang quickly rushed into the depths. The hundreds of cultivators who came in with them were all killed, leaving only the two of them, and a group of corpses chased after Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang. Taoist Wuliang threw out dozens of talismans. Those talismans restrained the corpse. One talisman after another was stuck on the forehead of the corpse. However, those corpses roared and then tore off the talisman on their forehead. Damn, these corpses are too terrifying. They should have already completed their evolution. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to completely ignore the Taoist talismans. Taoist Wuliang said in horror. Don't worry about them. Let's run. Lin Feng said with a bitter smile. They went all the way in. Some forks appeared in front of them. Then, several corridors appeared. Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang didn't know where they led. They rushed into a corridor and continued to rush into the depths. The corpses behind them chased closely. Not long after, Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang smelled a strong smell of blood. They saw a large number of corpses in the corridor in front of them. The blood of those corpses had been sucked dry and turned into dried corpses. They were all cultivators from large forces who were the first to enter this place. Many people died here. Following that, Lin Feng felt a bone-chilling aura enveloping his body. That feeling was too terrible. There must be an extremely terrifying existence in this place. Be careful. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a sinister aura behind him. He warned loudly and then moved to the left. Taoist Wuliang moved to the right. A sharp claw slashed across the place where the two of them had just stood. Chapter 47-26. At this time, Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist looked at the existence that ambushed them. It was a very strange creature. It had crocodile-like feet. His legs were extremely thick and powerful. Other than that, his body was also very sturdy and covered in scales. His eyes were blood red. Lin Feng originally thought that it was a foreign life form. However, he discovered that this existence was not a foreign life form. When those corpses charged over, they saw that terrifying existence. One by one, the corpses turned around and ran. Even the corpses were scared away. It could be seen how terrifying this existence in front of them was. What is this thing? Lin Feng could not help but mutter. His expression was extremely solemn. At this moment, Lin Feng had already taken out the black dragon sword. At the same time, the ruler's armor was also activated by Lin Feng, covering Lin Feng's body. Evil spirit warrior. Someone from that world. Immeasurable Taoist said. A creature from the underworld? Lin Feng said in surprise. No, it's the world that you can't talk about. Immeasurable Taoist said with a serious expression. Lin Feng's expression suddenly shook. He knew which world Immeasurable Taoist was talking about. It was the world where the mastermind was. That world. Lin Feng was not sure where exactly it was, but it was obvious that the mastermind was not the only one in that world. They were supreme existences, and obviously, they also had many minions. However, even if they were just minions of the mastermind, they were still extremely tyrannical existences. You actually know where I came from. Who are you? That ugly and terrifying existence looked at Immeasurable Taoist. Lin Feng and Immeasurable Taoist had known each other for so many years. Actually, Lin Feng did not know much about Immeasurable Taoist. This guy, there seemed to be a past that no one knew about. Moreover, he had a lot of knowledge. He also knew a lot of things. As a result, Lin Feng had once suspected that Immeasurable Taoist was the reincarnation of a certain expert, but thinking about it carefully, it didn't seem like it. Which peerless expert would be as wretched as the Immeasurable Taoist? I know a lot of things, but I really didn't expect there to be a living being like you in the Undying Realm. Are you a living being trapped here? Or did you sneak in after this place opened? Taoist Wuliang asked. How can there be a place that can trap me? That being said with a complacent tone, Lin Feng said, capture this guy and interrogate him about that world. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. The mastermind's world was too mysterious. It was too terrifying. He wanted to fight against them. He had to know about the structure of that world, the experts of that world, and perhaps some other information, right? However, Lin Feng was unaware of all this. As for the evil spirit warrior in front of him, it actually came from that world. It was a good opportunity to capture him and interrogate him. Despicable thing, you want to capture me? Are you dreaming? The evil spirit warrior laughed sinisterly. He quickly charged towards Lin Feng, his sharp claws directly grabbing towards Lin Feng. His speed was simply too fast, so fast that it was unbelievable. In the blink of an eye, he had already rushed in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng immediately brandished his black dragon sword and slashed towards the evil spirit warrior. Clang! His black dragon sword collided with the evil spirit warrior's claws, and a clanging sound was immediately heard. It was as if two peerless divine weapons had collided. This evil spirit's claws were actually as hard as divine weapons. It was really terrifying. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Lin Feng felt a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas surging towards him. He was blasted away, and Lin Feng felt something sweet in his throat, a mouthful of blood. He almost spat it out. He was shocked. This monster was too terrifying. No wonder so many people had been killed by him. The monster continued to pounce towards Lin Feng. He wanted to get rid of Lin Feng first, then deal with Immeasurable Taoist. Eat this. At this moment, Immeasurable Taoist made his move. Immeasurable Taoist took out a small wooden sword. The small wooden sword was surrounded by runes. It was obviously a magic sword refined by Taoists. Those runes were very mysterious and contained an unknown power. The small wooden sword was very fast, and it instantly arrived in front of the evil spirit warrior. It directly slashed towards the evil spirit warrior. When evil spirit warrior saw the small wooden sword that Immeasurable Taoist took out, its expression changed slightly. It hurriedly moved to the left, wanting to dodge the small wooden sword's attack. However, the small wooden sword still left a very deep wound on the evil spirit warrior's arm. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng felt that it was inconceivable. The small wooden sword didn't look sharp. It was actually able to cause such serious damage to a terrifying creature like the evil spirit warrior. Obviously, Immeasurable Taoist's small wooden sword restrained the evil spirit warrior. You actually have such a treasure. The evil spirit warrior's face was extremely gloomy. Of course, this treasure of mine is specially used to restrain you bastards. Immeasurable Taoist was somewhat proud of himself. Specially used to restrain? Lin Feng heard a key word. The treasures on this damn Taoist body were really enviable. It seemed that this treasure was able to restrain creatures like the evil spirit warrior. However, he didn't know if it could restrain other creatures in the mastermind's world. Immeasurable Taoist continued to control the small wooden sword to slash towards the evil spirit warrior. He wanted to kill the evil spirit warrior in one go. But at this moment, the evil spirit warrior opened its mouth and spat out a silver pair of scissors. It collided with Immeasurable Taoist's small wooden sword. The two sides were locked in a fierce battle. I'll kill you later. The evil spirit warrior coldly glanced at Immeasurable Taoist and then continued to pounce towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng's face sank. It seemed that this guy was determined to kill him first. Ordinary magic treasures couldn't hurt him, but he didn't have a magic treasure like Immeasurable Taoist's small wooden sword. Suddenly, Lin Feng's mind flashed, and he thought of a treasure. Back then, the moon god gave him a wooden sword. That was the wooden sword that his ancestor, the master of gods, had forged for the moon god when he was young. Later on, the moon god drew a clear line with his ancestor, the master of gods. Thus, he gave the wooden sword to him. Lin Feng realized. The aura of that wooden sword was very similar to the small wooden sword that Immeasurable Taoist had taken out. Could it be that they were refined from the same material? Thinking of this, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He quickly took out the wooden sword. Then, at this time, the evil spirit warrior had already rushed over. Its sharp claws once again slapped towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng held the wooden sword in his hand and directly slashed towards the evil spirit warrior. Poochie! Lin Feng's sword directly chopped off the evil spirit warrior's claws that were slapping towards him. Ah! Chapter 47:27. The power of the wooden sword was so terrifying. This was something that Lin Feng did not expect at all. Seeing the wooden sword directly cut down one of the evil spirit warrior's claws, Lin Feng's expression suddenly brightened up. What an exciting scene. The wooden sword left behind by his ancestors was actually so terrifying. It was really unbelievable. Of course, the main reason was that the wooden sword could restrain the creatures of that world. Lin Feng was naturally very clear about this point. But no matter what the reason was, the wooden sword displayed extraordinary battle strength. This was already enough. The current Lin Feng, it could be said that his confidence was bursting. Damn, when did you have such a treasure on you? After seeing Lin Feng take out the wooden sword, Wu Liang Daoist could not help but exclaim, his face full of disbelief. Lin Feng said, "Hee hee, are you envious? Watch me use the wooden sword to cut down this guy." As his voice fell, Lin Feng leaped out, holding the wooden sword in his hand, and slashed towards the evil spirit warrior. The evil spirit warrior took back his silver scissors, and then under the evil spirit warrior's control, the silver scissors quickly flew towards Lin Feng. The evil spirit warrior wanted to use the silver scissors to stop Lin Feng. But at this time, Du Zhu's attack had already arrived. Du Zhu took out another treasure, which was a purple jade ruler. It was unknown what kind of treasure it was, but the purple jade ruler was very tyrannical, directly blocking the opponent's silver scissors. Du Zhu and Lin Feng had known each other for a long time, and the two of them often trained together, so their cooperation was very good. At this time, Lin Feng had already arrived in front of the evil spirit warrior with his sword in hand. Lin Feng once again slashed towards the evil spirit warrior with his sword. The power of Lin Feng's sword was incomparably terrifying. The evil spirit warrior did not dare to underestimate Lin Feng's sword. The evil spirit warrior quickly retreated, wanting to dodge Lin Feng's sword. However, he wasn't able to completely avoid Lin Feng's attack. Lin Feng's tyrannical sword. It landed directly on his chest. Then, a bone-deep wound appeared on the ghost warrior's chest. Blood immediately gushed out. After taking this blow, the evil spirit warrior's injuries worsened. The situation was not good. Lin Feng seized the opportunity and rushed forward, thrusting his sword at the ghost warrior. Puff! The ghost warrior couldn't dodge in time and was pierced through by Lin Feng's sword. How could this be? How could this be? I was actually injured to this extent by a lowly creature. Evil spirit warrior roared angrily. Everything that happened today was a great humiliation to him. This was hard for him to accept. A living being like him might not be considered the highest level of living beings in the world of the mastermind, but when they were outside, he still had a strong sense of superiority. They didn't care about the other races at all. Seeing that Lin Feng was a human cultivator, he naturally didn't care about Lin Feng even more. Reckless thing. You still have half a life left, yet you still dare to be so self-righteous. Who do you think you are? Lin Feng said indifferently. As his voice fell, he directly used the 8 God-forbidding seals. Numerous sealing runes shrouded the evil spirit warrior. At this moment, the wooden sword was still in the ghost warrior's body. The wooden sword was very special. It emitted a special energy that directly suppressed the ghost warrior's magic power. It made it difficult for the ghost warrior to resist. Lin Feng used the 8 God-forbidding seals on the ghost warrior's body, sealing it. Then, Lin Feng pulled out the wooden sword. "You lowly ants, do you know who I am? Let me go now, and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you beg for death, but you can't die even if you beg for it." The ghost warrior roared angrily. F***CK, you're an idiot, right? You're just a prisoner now. Do you really think you're awesome? Lin Feng held the wooden sword in his hand. Then, he used the wooden sword's blade to slap the ghost warrior's face. This action was naturally full of humiliation to the ghost warrior. It was so angry that the ghost warrior trembled all over. It looked at Lin Feng's gaze. It was filled with dense killing intent. It wished it could immediately cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces and tear his body into 1,000 pieces. However, it was now Lin Feng's prisoner. No matter how much it hated Lin Feng, it couldn't fight back. Immeasurable Taoists said, "Suppress him now." We'll interrogate him after we leave this place. Lin Feng nodded. Now was indeed not the time to interrogate the ghost warrior. It wouldn't be too late to interrogate it about the mastermind's world and the mastermind's world in the future. Lin Feng suppressed the ghost warrior in the four ferocious cauldron. Immeasurable Taoist's eyes looked at Lin Feng's wooden sword. His eyes were emitting a green light. Obviously, he had some thoughts about Lin Feng's wooden sword. This damn Taoist had always been like this. After encountering something good, he wanted to take it for himself. Lin Feng's wooden sword was so powerful, he naturally wanted to take it for himself. Lin Feng quickly put away the wooden sword. He had to be on guard against immeasurable Taoist, because he wasn't afraid of thieves stealing, but he was afraid of thieves thinking about him. After Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist collected the storage rings of the dead cultivators, they continued to walk inside. There were still many cultivators breaking the restrictions of some rooms or halls. The lucky cultivators didn't encounter any danger and had a great harvest. The unlucky cultivators might release the corpses inside. If they weren't strong enough, they would be directly killed by the corpses. The powerful cultivators escaped the corpses' pursuit. An extremely violent fluctuation came from the depths. That was a place where true immortal experts went. Therefore, even though they knew that there might be some heaven-defying opportunities in that place, ordinary cultivators didn't dare to go there. Without the strength of a true immortal, going there was simply courting death. Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist didn't stop midway. They went straight to the deepest location. In the deepest location, there was a core hall. At this moment, the hall had already opened. After Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist entered, there were more than 10 cultivators here. There were some people that Lin Feng recognized, such as the Chu clan's ancestor who wielded the ancient weapon, the Baji Palace's ancestor, the Black Sand region's ancestor, Taoist Qing Xian, and others. There were also some experts that Lin Feng didn't recognize. In addition, Lin Feng also saw 4 terrifying creatures. Those 4 creatures were actually all evil spirit warriors. The leader of the ghost warriors was much taller than the other 3 ghost warriors. It was obvious that his strength was much stronger than the other 3 ghost warriors. The evil spirit warrior that Lin Feng had suppressed was about the same size as the 3 evil spirit warriors. As a result, Lin Feng guessed that their strength should be about the same. When Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist entered, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. More than 10 powerful experts all looked at Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist. Is this a place you can come to? Why aren't you getting out of here? An expert looked at Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist with an indifferent expression. Chapter 47:28. True immortal realm experts were naturally extremely overbearing. This was a place where only true immortal realm experts could set foot in. Only true immortals and above could fight for the fortunes here. Therefore, when they saw Lin Feng and Wuliang Taoist arrive, it was normal for true immortal realm experts to want to expel them. Some true immortal realm experts who knew Lin Feng, such as the patriarch of the Baji Palace, looked at the true immortal realm experts who wanted to expel Lin Feng and Wuliang Taoist with pity. Wuliang Taoist and the others didn't know what methods Wuliang Taoist had, but they knew Lin Feng's methods too well. How could he humiliate Lin Feng like this? How could Lin Feng let it go? What does it have to do with you that we're here? If you have nothing to do, don't fart. Wuliang Taoist curled his lips and said, "What did you say?" The face of the true immortal realm expert in the royal robe suddenly turned gloomy. He didn't expect Wuliang Taoist to be so rude to him. Was he looking down on him? He said that you're a bird, Lin Feng said. Hearing Lin Feng's words, many people's mouths twitched violently. Everyone knew what the word bird meant. Lin Feng's explanation was obviously to humiliate the other party. You're courting death. Since you're courting death, I can fulfill your wish. The true immortal realm expert in the royal robe said coldly. He walked step by step toward Lin Feng and Wuliang Taoist. Tell us your names. We don't kill nameless people. Wuliang Taoist shouted loudly. His tone was very arrogant. Many people couldn't help but mutter in their hearts. Who were these 2 people? How could they be so arrogant? Did they think that they had lived too long and wanted to go to hell as soon as possible? Those who knew Lin Feng didn't find it strange at all. Lowly ants, remember my name. My name is Huang Taizong. I'm a relative of the royal family of the Wan Huang State's Wan Huang Empire. The expert in the royal robe said in an indifferent voice. Lin Feng had also heard of the Myriad Emperor's state. It was a state adjacent to the central state world. This week, the top power was the Myriad Emperor's state. The Myriad Emperor's empire was an ancient force. It was said that the Myriad Emperor's empire was only a third-rate force in the Myriad Emperor's province. However, the monarch of the Myriad Emperor's empire offered 10 peerless beauties to the Heavenly Emperor. This made the Celestial Emperor very happy. Because of this, the Myriad Emperor's empire and the Heavenly Emperor established a relationship. Coincidentally, the number one force in the Wanhuang Prefecture, the Imperial Heavenly Sect, was not on good terms with the Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor had the intention to support some forces to fight against the Imperial Heavenly Sect. On the other hand, the Myriad Emperor's empire had won the favor of the Heavenly Emperor. As such, the Heavenly Emperor supported the Myriad Emperor empire from behind the scenes. Later on, the Myriad Emperor's empire even destroyed the Imperial Heaven Sect with the support of the Heavenly Emperor. From then on, the Myriad Emperor's empire began to rule the Myriad Emperor's state. To put it bluntly, Myriad Emperor Empire. He was definitely the most loyal supporter of the Sky Emperor. So you're from the Myriad Emperor's empire. All right, I'll remember you. Just you wait, I won't let you off. Wu Liang Daoist had an arrogant look on his face. However, he turned and ran after saying those words. Wu Liang Daoist's personality had always been like this. I can't defeat you, but I'll never beg for mercy. I'll make you feel disgusted to death. Moreover, Lin Feng felt that Wu Liang Daoist's words before he left had a deeper meaning behind them. This guy probably wanted to go to the Myriad Emperor's empire to dig up the ancient tombs of their ancestors. This was also Wu Liang Daoist's style. If he couldn't defeat the other party, he would go and dig up the other party's ancestral tombs. When the other party found out about it, he would probably be angered to death. It was unknown how many times Wu Liang Daoist had done such things. When the others saw Wu Liang Daoist running away, they couldn't help but think to themselves, I knew this would happen. Other than those who knew Lin Feng, the others thought that, how could Lin Feng and Wu Liang Daoist be a match for Huang Taizong? At most, Lin Feng and Wu Liang Daoist were just running their mouths. Once he was done talking, he would definitely make a run for it. The situation was exactly as they had predicted. However, they were wrong about one thing. They had underestimated Lin Feng's strength. Seeing Wu Liang Daoist running away, Lin Feng shouted, What are you running for? He's just a mere true immortal. Do you think we're afraid of him? After hearing Lin Feng's words, many people couldn't help but cast sidelong glances at Lin Feng. What did he mean by a mere true immortal? They were true immortals as well. In Lin Feng's eyes, were they, true immortals, only worthy of being described as mere true immortals? Brother, stop fooling around. I don't want to be beaten to death. Hurry up and run. Wu Liang Daoist shouted. However, this fella still stopped. He wanted to take a closer look at the situation. If the situation wasn't right, he would run away immediately. Kid, go to hell. Huang Taizong looked at Lin Feng indifferently and sent a palm strike towards Lin Feng. Huang Taizong's mystic skills were naturally extremely terrifying. The power contained in that palm strike sent chills down one's spine. Those true immortal experts who didn't know looked at Lin Feng coldly. In their opinion, Lin Feng was dead for sure. They didn't think that such a young cultivator could fight against a true immortal expert. Of course, if Lin Feng were to be killed here, they wouldn't have any special emotions. In their opinion, a young cultivator who was so arrogant that he didn't know the difference between life and death was killed. It was truly an insignificant matter. But just as everyone thought that Lin Feng was about to be killed, Lin Feng waved his hand. Instantly, 2 evil god stone statues flew out and slashed towards Huang Taizong with their swords. The 2 evil god stone statues had the strength of true immortals. How tyrannical were they? When Huang Taizong sensed the terrifying power contained in the attacks of the 2 evil god stone statues, his face changed drastically. He hurriedly retreated, wanting to avoid the attacks of the 2 evil god stone statues. However, The two evil god stone statues followed him like shadows. The battle sword in his hand slashed down. Limitless shield. Huang Taizong roared. After his voice fell, a shield appeared in front of him. He held the shield in his hand and blocked the attacks of the two evil god stone statues. The shield was an extraordinary treasure. The runes on the shield seemed to have come to life in an instant. Around the shield, a Taiji diagram was formed. The Taiji diagram and the shield resonated with each other. The defense of the shield increased tremendously. At the next moment, clang, clang, two dull sounds of collisions rang out in succession. The battle sword in the hands of the evil god stone statues slammed onto the shield of the other party. A shocking scene appeared. Huang Taizong was sent flying along with his shield. Although the limitless shield's defense was shocking, it couldn't completely block the attacks of the two evil god stone statues. Chapter 47-29. F***CK. Brother, you're good. These two stone statues are actually so powerful. F***CK. This grandson to death. When Wuliang Daoist saw that the evil god stone statues that Lin Feng took out were actually so powerful, he instantly shouted in excitement. He almost danced with joy. He quickly ran back as if he wanted to participate in the battle against Huang Taizong. However, Wuliang Daoist was cautious by nature, so he didn't make a move in the end. He just watched from the side. At this moment, the two evil god stone statues once again charged in front of Huang Taizong. They directly swung their swords towards Huang Taizong. Huang Taizong couldn't dodge in time and could only use the limitless shield to block the attack. The limitless shield in his hand was placed in front of him. Clang, clang. Two consecutive violent collisions rang out. After this collision, the limitless shield actually made cracking sounds. Cracks began to appear on the surface of the everlasting shield. This supreme treasure had clearly been destroyed. After seeing this scene, Wuliang Daoist immediately shouted, "Grandson, if you kneel down and lick the soles of my shoes clean, we'll spare your life." After hearing Wuliang Daoist's words, Huang Taizong simply went crazy with hatred. Even if he lost under the joint attack of the two evil god stone statues. What did it have to do with Wuliang Daoist? Previously, this damned Daoist ran away after acting cool. Hence, Huang Taizong looked down on Wuliang Daoist. The rest of the experts also looked at Daoist Wuliang with disdain. In their eyes, Wuliang Daoist was just a mouth cannon. His eloquence was quite impressive, but in reality, he didn't have any ability. The scene of him fleeing in fear was really comical. Of course, Wuliang Daoist didn't care about how others looked at him. This fellow would go and dig up the ancient tombs of the ancestors of the various factions. He didn't know how many people were pointing at his back and cursing him, but Wuliang Daoist still lived a carefree life. Hence, this damned Daoist was someone who didn't care about how others looked at him. The two evil god stone statues continued to attack Huang Taizong. At this moment, the two evil god stone statues had completely gained the upper hand. Huang Taizong couldn't block the attacks of the two evil god stone statues. One could imagine Huang Taizong might have been killed by the two evil god statues. Many people looked at the two evil god statues that Lin Feng had summoned, and they couldn't help but reveal serious expressions. In the eyes of those experts, Lin Feng didn't think much of it. They did not put Lin Feng in their eyes at all. But Lin Feng's two evil god statues were too powerful. "Brother Chu, save me." Huang Taizong knew he was in a dangerous situation, so he looked at the ancestor of the Chu clan and pleaded. The patriarch of the Chu clan wielded the six-eyed heaven-destroying sword. The six-eyed heaven-destroying sword in his hand trembled slightly. In an instant, a terrifying power vibrated out. That terrifying power instantly blasted towards the two evil god stone statues. Then, it collided with the statue of the evil god. The two evil god statues were knocked back. Even a true immortal could only unleash a small portion of the ancient weapon's power. However, that was enough. The main reason was that the ancient weapon was too powerful. Lin Feng frowned. He had always been wary of the Chu clan's ancestor. In addition, the Chu clan had a relationship with the Black Sand region's ancestor. Therefore, Lin Feng had always been wary of the Chu clan's ancestor. After all, he had an ancient weapon and was very terrifying. He had to be wary of this person. Otherwise, if he was ambushed by the Chu clan's ancestor, that would definitely be a disaster. Young people should know how to restrain themselves. The Chu clan's ancestor said indifferently after repelling the two evil god statues. Lin Feng frowned slightly and didn't say anything. Then, he put away the two evil god statues. If it was any other time, Taoist Wuliang would probably curse a few times. But Taoist Wuliang was experienced and knowledgeable. He knew that the Chu clan's ancestor was holding an ancient weapon. Therefore, he didn't dare to say anything. "Thank you, Brother Chu." After escaping danger, Huang Taitsong hurriedly cupped his fists and thanked the Chu clan's ancestor. The Chu clan's ancestor nodded. What he wanted was Huang Taitsong's favor. There was no need to say anything. After Huang Taitsong thanked the Chu clan's ancestor, he looked at Lin Feng with a pair of fierce and hateful eyes. He said coldly, "Brat, who do you think you are after losing two evil god statues? I can easily kill you." "Idiot, the evil god statues are my treasures. Don't you know that treasures are also a part of one's strength? You don't even understand this principle. I really wonder how you cultivated to this level." Lin Feng said sarcastically. Taoist Wuliang said, "It's really inconceivable that a human head with a pig's brain could cultivate to this level." Hearing Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang's mocking words, many people looked at Huang Taitsong with a pitiful gaze. Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang's mouths were really too poisonous. If one offended these two people, they would definitely be angered to death. "I won't lower myself to your level for now," Huang Taitsong said with a gloomy expression. He no longer cared about Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang. But obviously, if he found an opportunity, this guy would definitely not let Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang go. This point, Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang were naturally very clear. However, when that time came, it would be hard to say who would win. "Let's go and take a look at the inner palace," a true immortal expert said. The core palace was divided into two parts, the inner and outer palace. The outer palace was where they were currently staying. The inner palace was in the depths. The palace's door had yet to open. Now, everyone was planning to open the door to the inner palace. These experts all walked towards the inner palace. Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang were at the back. Taoist Wuliang said softly, "Do you think the Flying Sky Sage's corpse is in the inner palace? The Flying Sky Sage should be a sage expert. The things he left behind must be incomparably shocking. Also, I heard something else." "What is it?" Lin Feng asked curiously. Back then, the Flying Sky Sage was attacked by the experts of the wasteland because he seemed to have obtained a mysterious treasure. The experts of the wasteland wanted that treasure, but the Flying Sky Sage did not hand it over. As a result, he was annihilated, Taoist Wuliang said. Hearing that, Lin Feng could not help but be shocked. He did not know if what Taoist Wuliang said was true or not. If it was true, what kind of treasure was that? After the Flying Sky Sage died, did that treasure already fall into the hands of the cultivator who killed the Flying Sky Sage? "Do you know what that thing is?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "Rumor has it that it's a terrifying treasure. However, there are also rumors that it's an unparalleled divine ability that can fight against the 6 paths of reincarnation, a heaven-defying divine ability." Chapter 4731. In the previous chapter, Wu Liang Daoist accidentally wrote Duzu in a few places. It was a clerical error. I've already corrected it. Sorry. After hearing Wu Liang Daoist's words, Lin Feng was very shocked. The two things that Wu Liang Daoist mentioned. If it was a magic treasure, would it be an ancient weapon-level treasure? If it was a divine ability, it could actually compete with the human race's supreme technique, the 6 paths of reincarnation. This was too heaven-defying. If Lin Feng had to choose between the two things, he would have had to choose one. Lin Feng would immediately choose the divine ability that was comparable to the 6 paths of reincarnation. Once this divine ability was successfully cultivated, ordinary cultivators could cross a large realm to challenge those of a higher realm, not to mention a genius cultivator like Lin Feng. As for the ancient weapon, of course, it was extremely precious. It was a treasure that any cultivator dreamed of. However, Lin Feng already had 2 ancient weapons. It was just that at this stage, Lin Feng still couldn't use the 2 ancient weapons. Therefore, for the time being, Lin Feng's desire for the top divine ability was greater than the ancient weapon. Because once the top divine ability was successfully cultivated, it could immediately increase Lin Feng's combat strength. However, he couldn't use the ancient weapon for the time being. Therefore, it couldn't increase Lin Feng's combat strength. Later, let's see if these things are really inside, Lin Feng said. He and Wu Liang Daoist continued to walk inside. At this moment, the experts at the front had already opened the door to the inner hall. A rotten aura spread out from the inner hall. Only after the decaying aura had dissipated did everyone enter the inner hall. Then, everyone looked inside. An ancient coffin. There was actually an ancient coffin here. Moreover, it was a very ancient bronze coffin. Was there a corpse lying in the bronze coffin? If there was a corpse lying in it, then whose corpse was it? Could it be the flying sky sage's corpse? One question after another appeared in everyone's mind. Everyone looked at the bronze coffin. Now, the bronze coffin hadn't been opened. Everything was unknown. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly because he thought of something. Back then, when the Soaring Sky Sage died, the cultivators of the Soaring Sky sect were also affected by the battle and died one after another. Then, the entire Soaring Heaven Gate fell from the wasteland into the Undying Realm. Since the disciples of the Flying Sky Saint had already perished, the Flying Sky Saint's disciples had already died. If the Soaring Sky Saint was inside the coffin, then who was the one who placed his corpse inside? This was truly an extremely strange matter. Or perhaps, there were still survivors back then? Was it one of the survivors that collected the Flying Sky Saint's corpse? This was still a possibility. Open the coffin, an expert said, wanting to open the bronze coffin right now. At this time, there were people walking forward one after another. They wanted to open the bronze coffin, including the 4 evil spirit warriors. They also stepped forward one after another. Lin Feng and Daoist Wu Liang also swaggered forward and surrounded the bronze coffin. Then, these people planned to pry the bronze nails out of the bronze coffin. There were 8 bronze nails in total. He nailed the lid of the bronze coffin to the coffin. In the process of prying off the bronze nails, many people's eyes flickered. Obviously, they were thinking of some evil ideas. After all, this was human nature. Everyone was here for the great opportunity here, and it might appear very soon. Naturally, they had to fight for it. When the time came, it would depend on their own ability to snatch those great opportunities. In the end, the 8th bronze nail was also pried off. Many people's eyes flickered even more intensely. The group of people pushed open the lid of the bronze coffin and looked inside. They were shocked to find that it was a cenotaph. The so-called cenotaph was an empty coffin. There was no corpse inside. However, sometimes, some other things would be placed inside, such as a piece of clothing, to act as a corpse. This was the origin of the cenotaph. There was indeed a golden treasure robe inside the bronze coffin. At a glance, one could tell that it was not an ordinary item. Even though that treasure robe had been washed away by time, it was still dazzling. Light radiated in all directions. Its defensive power was definitely incomparably tyrannical. It was a rather heaven-defying defensive magic treasure. Perhaps it was similar to Lin Feng's ruler's armor. Other than that, there was also a jade tube. It was unknown if the jade tube recorded some divine ability inheritance. Snatch. This was the thought in everyone's mind. An evil spirit warrior beside Lin Feng quickly attacked Lin Feng, wanting to get rid of Lin Feng. Even if he couldn't get rid of Lin Feng, he had to kick Lin Feng out of the battlefield. The rest of the people were also fighting over the 2 items inside. Close combat. Who was Lin Feng afraid of? Lin Feng directly activated his 6 times dragon elephant arm and punched towards the evil spirit warrior. Bang! Following the violent collision, Lin Feng and the evil spirit warrior fiercely collided. Lin Feng was safe and sound. That evil spirit warrior flew out like a kite with a broken string. In fact, that evil spirit warrior was very terrifying. However, in terms of physical body, he definitely wouldn't be able to contend against Lin Feng. Lin Feng's 6 times dragon elephant arm was too powerful. Not to mention, Right now, Lin Feng's physical body strength had broken through to the true immortal level. The fighting strength that the 6 times dragon elephant arm could unleash was even more terrifying. Get lost, Lin Feng shouted loudly, his pair of iron fists sweeping towards the other experts. Those true immortal stage experts were indeed terrifying. However, that would depend on the specific situation. In terms of Fali and sacred art, they were naturally peerless existences. However, in terms of physical body, they were far inferior. There was no way for them to contend against Lin Feng's 6 times dragon elephant arm. As a result, Lin Feng's godly fist was invincible. One after another, the true immortal stage experts were sent flying. Even the leader of the evil spirit warrior was unable to withstand Lin Feng's 6 times dragon elephant arm and was sent flying by Lin Feng's 6 times dragon elephant arm. This scene was indeed very shocking. One person sent so many top experts flying. It was simply enough to make one's blood boil. His blood was boiling. Lin Feng grabbed the jade tube and hurriedly kept it. As for the immeasurable Taoist priest, he kept the golden robe. You deserve to die. A group of experts surrounded Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist priest. All of them revealed killing intent. They mainly hated Lin Feng, and the immeasurable Taoist priest was secondary because it was Lin Feng who sent them flying. When these people went outside, which one of them wasn't an expert that could intimidate an entire region? However, they were sent flying by Lin Feng alone. Chapter 4732. Everyone, we fought for the treasure with our own strength. Now that we've gotten the treasure, that means we're strong. Are you planning to gang up on us? It's fine if we fail, but if a group of true immortals were to gang up on us after failing, that would be truly shameless. Lin Feng sneered. Gang up on you? Kid, you sure know how to flatter yourself. Why would we gang up on you? We're just trying to kill a fool who doesn't know the difference between life and death. Huang Taizong sneered. He had been suppressing the anger in his heart for a long time, and now he could finally vent it. When he thought about how Lin Feng was going to die, Huang Taizong trembled. Huang Taizong was so excited that his body trembled. You can make shameless sound so fresh and refined. I have a deeper understanding of your shamelessness. I'm impressed. Lin Feng mocked. Taoist Wuliang said, a shameless person is invincible in this world. They're all 10,000-year-old foxes, yet they insist on pretending to be 10,000-year-old tortoises. They have a tortoise shell on their back. Is that why their skin is so thick? Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh when he heard Taoist Wuliang's words. This guy's sarcastic words were truly amazing. Even Huang Taizong was impressed by Taoist Wuliang's sarcastic words. You're courting death. You're courting death. Huang Taizong was so angry that his body trembled. His eyes flickered with killing intent as he said, Everyone, to prevent any unexpected changes, let's kill these two now. This is especially true for Lin Feng. He has plenty of good stuff on him. Killing him is equivalent to obtaining many great opportunities. Everyone was already filled with killing intent towards Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang. After hearing Huang Taizong's words, their killing intent grew even stronger. As such, these experts wanted to kill Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang. Lin Feng felt that the only way out was to break out of the encirclement. After all, these experts weren't to be trifled with. He wondered if he could break out of the encirclement with Taoist Wuliang. Let me show you my treasure. At this time, Taoist Wuliang suddenly shouted. Then, he took out something. That thing looked like a ferocious beast made of calcined ceramic. Its body was like a huge python. However, it had 9 heads. Other than the 9 heads, it also had a pair of wings. He had no idea what those creatures were. As for the 9 heads, they were the heads of a dragon, a phoenix, a qilin, a taotai, a lion, a tiger, a crocodile, a yazi, and a qiongqi. This was an extremely strange creature. Before this, Lin Feng had never seen or heard of it. This was the first time he had seen such a beast. After that item was taken out by immeasurable Taoist, he immediately revived. Suddenly, it turned into a behemoth that was 70 to 80 meters long. Bloody mouths opened one after another. Then, it spat out all kinds of attacks. Its huge tail also swept towards its surroundings. Its power was extremely terrifying. Meanwhile, a pair of wings suddenly flapped. An endless storm shrouded the dozen or so experts. The dozen or so experts were originally planning to kill Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. But who would have thought? However, the immeasurable Taoist had suddenly taken out such an extremely strange treasure. Furthermore, this treasure had turned into such a powerful, ferocious beast. It directly caught them off guard. Therefore, it was too late to deal with Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. They had to first resolve the attack of this terrifying beast. Then, they would deal with Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. Lin Feng was also very shocked. The thing that the immeasurable Taoist had taken out just now should be a forbidden weapon. This kind of thing. It could only be used 10 times. After 10 times, it would automatically be destroyed. However, this was the first time Lin Feng had seen such a powerful forbidden weapon. He simply couldn't believe his eyes. He didn't know what level of expert had refined such a powerful forbidden weapon. Of course, although he was extremely shocked, Lin Feng's reaction was extremely fast. He quickly came back to his senses. While the dozen or so experts were resisting the beast's attack, Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist quickly rushed outside. Very soon, they rushed out of the main hall. The dozen or so experts were naturally terrifying to the extreme. Just as Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist rushed out of the main hall, they joined forces to kill the beast. And that treasure also cracked open. It seemed that that was the last chance for that treasure to be used. The faces of the dozen or so experts were as ugly as they could be. They had so many experts. But the great opportunity here was actually snatched away by Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. They naturally didn't put Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist in their eyes. Even if Lin Feng had 2 evil god stone statues, they still didn't put Lin Feng in their eyes. Because in their eyes, Lin Feng, who had lost the evil god stone statue, was nothing. There was no way for him to contend with these true immortal experts. Chase! A group of gloomy true immortal experts shouted in a deep voice. Then, they quickly rushed out and chased after Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. They absolutely couldn't allow Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist to escape. Because what happened today was too much of a shock to them. They couldn't accept it at all. This kind of shock. It would even affect their cultivation. However, by the time these people rushed out, Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist had already disappeared without a trace. There might still be many opportunities in the Flying Heaven Sect ruins. However, Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist no longer planned to continue looking for opportunities here, because they had already obtained what they wanted. Therefore, the two of them directly left the Flying Heaven Sect ruins. Not long after, more than a dozen true immortal experts flew out. All of them were filled with murderous intent. Many people could sense the dense murderous intent emanating from the dozen or so true immortal experts. Those cultivators couldn't help but tremble. The aura emanating from the dozen or so true immortal experts was too terrifying. It made their souls tremble. What exactly happened? Why are those true immortal experts so angry? Many people were aghast. Anyone could tell that the dozen or so true immortal experts were in a state of rage at this moment. However, no one knew the exact reason. However, there were still many smart people among so many cultivators. Could it be that someone stole the opportunities that belonged to the dozen or so true immortal experts? Is that why these experts are so angry? Those cultivators guessed the reason and couldn't help but feel extremely shocked. It was even a little unbelievable. Who exactly was it? Who could steal the opportunities of those true immortal experts? The group of true immortal experts didn't say anything and split up to search for Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. Obviously, they would definitely not let this matter rest. A day later, Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist stopped on a small island and opened up a cave abode on the island. They planned to have a good rest there. Chapter 47:33. The immeasurable Taoist obviously liked his golden robe very much. After taking it out, he began to blood bond with the golden robe, and Lin Feng took out the jade tube. His divine sense entered the jade tube. Then he began to sense the contents of the jade tube. When Lin Feng's divine sense entered the jade tube, he immediately felt as if he had entered an illusory and mysterious world. In that illusory and mysterious world, it was an extremely ancient world. Lin Feng saw countless living beings, countless races. However, those living beings, those races, Lin Feng didn't recognize them. He had never even heard of them. After an unknown period of time, Lin Feng saw a tribe. This tribe, it was actually a human tribe. A child was born in the tribe. His father was anxiously waiting outside. When the child was born, between heaven and earth, an extremely shocking vision appeared. Blood covered the 9 heavens. It was as if the world was about to turn into a blood-red world. Such a vision was simply too shocking. Many powerful races were alarmed. Innate blood seal. He was born with awakened innate bloodline. His talent is absolutely unimaginable. Let's go and see who was born. Some of the living beings of the major forces all went to find who the child was. Finally, they found the child. When those powerful living beings saw that the child was a human tribe's child, they immediately had killing intent. The human race is a weak race. This child is a great tonic, Yi Futian murmured. Many cultivators said sinisterly. The massacre began. This tribe couldn't withstand the enemy's attack at all. Therefore, under the enemy's attack, the tribe suffered heavy losses. Take the child and leave. The child's father looked at his wife. Brother Dong, let's go together. The woman grabbed her husband's hand. Now that we are facing a disaster, how can I abandon my tribe and leave? Take the child and escape quickly. Raise the child. The man said. While running away, the woman was being chased. And she learned the fate of the tribe. The entire tribe. They were all slaughtered. Her husband, the father of her child, had also died in the war. The woman was severely injured. He was on the verge of death. She could no longer protect her child. If we bring him back, we'll have done a great service. One by one, the living beings said sinisterly. Then, those creatures pounced on the child who had fallen to the ground. But at this moment, an ancient tree not far away turned into a huge tree demon. Countless branches wrapped around the cultivators. Tree demon, you dare to attack us? Do you know who we are? If our Lord finds out about this, the tree demon tribe will be destroyed. The cultivators roared in anger. He wanted to use this to intimidate the tree demons. However, the old treant said, You won't even spare a child? Are you still human? The tree demon quickly killed the cultivators and saved the child. Many years later, the child grew up. Grandpa Tree Demon, I want to go out and explore. He had already become a handsome and elegant young man. Child, the people outside are sinister. You must be careful, especially you humans. You are slaves of many races. You must be even more careful. The tree demon warned. I will. I must change the structure of the human race. The young man said. Next, images flashed past. They were the most important events in the young man's life. He grew up step by step, leading the human race to become stronger. He's not from this era. Lin Feng saw many images. Thus, he was certain that what he saw was not from this era. They were from other eras. Perhaps, it was from the previous era. This young man became an autarch of his generation. He also created the supreme technique of the human race. This technique was called emptiness of all ages. Countless years. Everything became nothing. The era he lived in was the 10,000th great era of this era. It was also the last great era. He could not change the collapse of this era. As for his fate, Lin Feng did not know. Because at the end of the era, all the images disappeared. The human race has existed for such a long time. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. Now, it seemed that the story of Nuwa creating humans with clay was really just a legend. Because many eras ago, the human race had existed. Therefore, the human race was naturally not created by Nuwa. This made Lin Feng sigh. It turned out that the human race had such an ancient history. However, the human race was weak in the past, and it made people feel helpless. After all, this was the human race's innate disadvantage. Even though many eras had passed, the human race's innate disadvantage still existed. When Lin Feng tried to sense the jade tube again, he did not sense that world. He sensed a mysterious light figure. The human race will not perish. The legacy will not be extinguished. Lin Feng heard these words. He did not know that the light figure was speaking. It was the voice that was imprinted in the jade tube. The human race's torch will not be extinguished just like that, Lin Feng said. Good. Remember this legacy. This is the foundation of the human race's foothold in the world. The voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind again. Then, the mysterious light figure began to conceal Lin Feng's various movements. Those movements were very simple, but they contained the profound meaning of heaven and earth. When he saw those movements, Lin Feng could not help but take a deep breath. He tried his best to memorize every movement in his mind. He tried hard not to forget any of the movements. Because Lin Feng knew those movements, it should be the cultivation method of the all ages are empty supernatural power. Lin Feng did not know which era the all ages are empty supernatural power belonged to. But since this supernatural power was the supreme supernatural power of the human race in that unknown era, that was enough to explain. How terrifying was the all ages are empty ability? He did not know how it compared to the supreme supernatural power of the human race in this era, the 6 paths of reincarnation. Lin Feng did not cultivate the 6 paths of reincarnation, so he could not tell if there was a difference between the supreme supernatural powers of the 2 eras. In the end, Lin Feng remembered all the movements in his mind. Don't give up. As long as you have faith, there will be hope. The voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. I will not give up. I will never give up. No matter what happens, I will not give up. Lin Feng said, create a future that belongs to you. Let the torch of the human race continue. The voice sounded again. Then, the jade tube shattered. The voice. Chapter 47-34. Senior, may you rest in peace. May you have a safe journey. Lin Feng said. His mood was very heavy. It wasn't easy for the human race to develop to this stage. Although the human race didn't occupy the dominant position now, it was much better than before. At the very least, no cultivator would dare to massacre the human race, because there were still some experts in the human race. If those forces dared to massacre the human race, then they would have to wait for the human race's revenge. And in the past, the situation of the human race, it was indeed heartbreaking. Lin Feng sorted out his emotions. Then, he began to carefully comprehend the sacred art of emptiness. Right now, he only remembered the cultivation moves of emptiness. But in fact, he hadn't started to cultivate the sacred art of emptiness. Lin Feng was immersed in the profound concept of those moves. Actually, it wasn't that difficult for Lin Feng to cultivate the sacred art of emptiness, because every move in every move was back to the basics. It pointed straight to the core of the great Tao. By comprehending those moves to cultivate the sacred art of emptiness, it was simply twice the result with half the effort. Lin Feng's cultivation speed was extremely fast. Just like that, about 10 days passed. Lin Feng had already gained a basic understanding of the art. The so-called basic understanding of the art meant that Lin Feng had already gained a basic understanding of the art. Now, he had already begun to use the sacred art of emptiness against the enemy. As for how powerful it was, Lin Feng still didn't know. At this time, immeasurable Taoists still hadn't woken up. Lin Feng guessed that he might have gained something. Thus, he didn't wake up for a long time. Lin Feng waited for immeasurable Taoist to wake up. It wasn't until 2 days later that immeasurable Taoist woke up. Wu, I didn't expect that I would have such a fortuitous encounter. After immeasurable Taoist woke up, he started to cry. He hugged the golden robe. Another kiss. Another touch. He was so excited that his entire body was trembling. What level of treasure is this golden robe? What did you sense? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask curiously. Taoist Wu Yang looked at Lin Feng as if he was looking at a thief. I didn't even ask you what kind of inheritance was recorded in the jade tube. Don't ask me what I got. We each have our own opportunities. Since that's the case, let's just mind our own business. Lin Feng rolled his eyes speechlessly. That being said, however, it was fine to ask, right? It seemed that the immeasurable Taoist had indeed obtained a great opportunity. Since he didn't want to talk about it, Lin Feng didn't ask the immeasurable Taoist anymore. Give me a few days. I need to properly refine this armor. Immeasurable Taoist said as he caressed the golden robe lovingly. All right. Lin Feng nodded. The immeasurable Taoist began to refine his treasured robe, while Lin Feng continued to comprehend the emptiness of eternity divine ability. That night, Lin Feng had a dream. In the dream, Lin Feng heard a woman crying. Who's crying? Lin Feng opened his eyes and couldn't help but mutter to himself. He found that he was still in the cave. The immeasurable Taoist was refining the golden robe not far away. The crying didn't disappear. It was coming from outside. Lin Feng walked out of the cave. It was currently night. It was very dark outside. The crying could be heard from the forest. Lin Feng frowned. He looked at the forest not far away and said, Who's crying there? However, no one responded to Lin Feng. But the sobbing continued. Woo woo woo. It was a woman crying, and her crying was getting more and more heartbroken. He didn't know who that woman was. Can you come out and meet me? Lin Feng asked. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the crying finally stopped. Then, a woman flew out. It was a woman dressed in white. She looked to be 16 or 17 years old and was very beautiful. Who are you? Lin Feng asked. I'm called Xuenu. The woman said. Xuenu? What a strange name. Why are you crying? Lin Feng asked. I want to save the young miss, but I can't do anything. That's why I'm crying here. Xuenu said. What happened to your young miss? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown and ask. Could it be that she was too beautiful and was kidnapped by some evil people? If that was the case, it would be extremely tragic. This kind of thing was actually quite common in the world of cultivators. Especially, there were some evil cultivators in the world of cultivators who cultivated evil cultivation techniques. They loved to do such heartless things the most. Xuenu said, Young master, my young miss was kidnapped by evil people and is now trapped in the main hall of the Ruoshui Palace. Please save my young miss. Xuenu is willing to be an ox or a horse to repay you. As Xuenu spoke, she knelt on the ground and saluted Lin Feng. Xuenu was indeed beautiful. This figure, this appearance, although she was just a maid, she wasn't inferior to many peerless fairies. Of course, Lin Feng's mind wasn't on this, because his mind was attracted by Xuenu's words. Xuenu said, her young miss was kidnapped to the Ruoshui Palace. What did that mean? Was the Ruoshui Palace related to the Ruoshui Palace? What's the name of your young miss? Lin Feng's heart moved slightly and then asked. Xuenu said, Young master, my young miss is called Ruoshui. Hearing that, Lin Feng's face revealed a shocked expression. Xuenu. She was actually Ruoshui's maid. Just at this moment, Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes. Then, he found that he was still in the cave. There was no crying around. There was also no Xuenu Wuliang Taoist was still there refining the treasured clothes. All of this, he had experienced it not long ago. The only difference was that he heard crying before, and this time, he didn't hear crying. Was it a dream? Was it still a dream? Was it a dream within a dream? Lin Feng walked out of the cave, but Lin Feng still didn't hear crying. He also didn't see Xuenu. Lin Feng bit himself. He wanted to see if it was a dream within a dream. Ouch! Lin Feng screamed. His bite was a bit harsh. He actually bit out a bloody tooth mark. It wasn't a dream. Everything was real now. In the darkness, Lin Feng stood alone in the forest. He was thinking about the dream just now. Was the Xuenu in the dream real? If it was real, Lin Feng felt that the dream just now might not be as simple as a dream. He took out the bracelet of misfortune. The bracelet of the Ruoshui goddess didn't have any changes until now. Perhaps it was because of the distance. The death of the Ruoshui goddess might have some secrets. Perhaps it wasn't like what the outside world said. Lin Feng couldn't help but think. But what happened that year was indeed a mystery. Chapter 4735. Ha 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 ha. I've finally refined the golden body robe. From now on, it's as if I'm wearing a tortoise shell. Who can break through my defenses? On this day, Taoist Wuliang shouted proudly. It seemed that he had successfully refined the golden body robe. At this moment, Lin Feng was resting on a branch of a large tree outside. He had been waiting for Taoist Wuliang to come out of seclusion, and the damned Taoist had finally come out. Lin Feng was happy for the Taoist priest, the boundless Taoist priest, of course. In fact, Lin Feng hoped that everyone around him would be able to obtain great benefits as well. He hoped that the people around him would be able to become stronger, especially during the apocalypse. It was very important for them to become stronger. That way, they would have a greater chance of survival. As for Bei Bei, Xiao He, Xiao Long, the primordial emperor butterfly, and the others, they were still undergoing the transformation of their physical bodies. After all, they were spiritual beasts or spiritual insects, so their transformations were much slower than ordinary people. Lin Feng jumped down from the tree. At that moment, the boundless Taoist priest came out of the forest. When he saw Taoist Wuliang, Lin Feng smiled and said, "Looks like I'll have to congratulate you here." Taoist Wuliang grinned and said, "Let's share the same joy." Lin Feng said, "There's no time to lose. Let's go deeper and take a look. Hopefully, we can find the weak water shrine soon." Lin Feng thought of Xue Nu, who had appeared in his dreams. This world was a mystical one. Sometimes it was real and fake. Sometimes it was fake. Sometimes it was fake and real. Many times, it was possible to extend the entire story through dreams. Dreams were very mystical. Dreams could extend the story to infinity. Therefore, some things that happened in dreams might actually happen in the real world. The two continued to fly deeper, and Taoist Wuliang asked, "Do you have some sort of keepsake?" "Why do you ask?" Lin Feng looked at Taoist Wuliang in surprise. This guy was a little too sensitive. Taoist Wuliang said, "It's a kind of intuition. Hurry up and take out the keepsake." Lin Feng took out the misfortune bracelet and handed it to Taoist Wuliang. "What is this?" Taoist Wuliang asked curiously. "It's said to belong to the weak water goddess. It's called the misfortune bracelet," Lin Feng said. The boundless Taoist priest's hands trembled. He hastily threw the bracelet to Lin Feng. Then, Taoist Wuliang cursed, "F***ck. What bad luck. I actually saw something like the bracelet of misfortune and even touched it with my own hands. I'm afraid I'm going to have 8 lifetimes of bad luck." Taoist Wuliang's Wuliang. Wuliang said Wuliang was speechless Wuliang. The Wuliang said Wuliang said, "Wuliang, Wuliang, 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 Wuliang. Wuliang a Waha Wuliang Wang, Esset luck. What was originally a heaven-defying opportunity might turn into a disaster because of the misfortune bracelet. Only those with great providence can suppress the misfortune of the bracelet of misfortune. However, even if they have great providence, if they continue to wear the bracelet of misfortune, I'm afraid that they will eventually suffer because of it. I've been wondering why there are so many curses on your body when your luck is so strong. Now it seems that it has something to do with the misfortune bracelet." Lin Feng nodded and said, "In fact, I was also suspicious of the bracelet before, and this time I came to the weak water sea to solve this matter." Immeasurable Taoist said, "It's better to deal with it as soon as possible. If you keep this thing on you, who knows what kind of bad luck it will bring to you in the future." About half a month later, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang arrived at the central area of the Sea of Weak Water. A large number of cultivators had gathered here, and a powerful restriction had sealed off the area. There were rumors that the Sea of Weak Water was in this place. Many cultivators from the major forces had been trying to break the formation, but they had not been able to break the formation. However, it was only a matter of time. I heard that someone had entered the Central Sea area before. It is an extremely terrible place with danger lurking everywhere. If you are not careful, you may die there. Some cultivators talked about the Central Sea area. Someone has entered it? Is this true? Who could be so capable? Many cultivators were surprised. The cultivator said, "The other party is a character from a long time ago. I'm not very clear about who he is. I've read these things from the Tao scriptures. The expert who entered the central area finally retreated, but it was said that he died suddenly not many years later. It seems that he died suddenly. I guess it has something to do with the central area of the Weak Water Sea. Of course, it may also have something to do with the Weak Water Temple. He may have been to the weak water temple. After hearing this cultivator's words, the surrounding cultivators were very uneasy. The central area of the Sea of Weak Water seemed to be more dangerous. They just did not know what kind of danger would appear in that place. All of this was for now. It was still unknown. The goddess of weak water, the goddess of that generation, her beauty is suffocating. Wu Liang Daoist sighed. After hearing Wu Liang Daoist's words, Lin Feng's heart could not help but move slightly, and then asked, "What? Have you seen the goddess of weak water?" Wu Liang Daoist's eyes flashed slightly. Then he said, "Where have I seen her? But I have seen the portrait of the goddess of weak water. Even if I have only seen the portrait, I am still shocked by her peerless beauty. I just don't know how beautiful the real her is." Lin Feng touched his chin and said, "If there is really a weak water temple here, then weak water should still be inside. She has already turned into a pink skeleton." Wu Liang Daoist shook his head, not holding much hope. Lin Feng said, "That is not necessarily the case. After all, the goddess of weak water was cursed by the gods. The power of the curse is very terrifying, so perhaps the goddess of weak water's body is still very well preserved." Wu Liang Daoist's eyes lit up and said, "If that is the case, then that is even better. At that time, we can properly appreciate the peerless beauty of the goddess of weak water." In the next few days, the array masters of many large forces were still trying to break the array. More and more cultivators came. There were rogue cultivators, cultivators from some ordinary forces, and cultivators from many large forces. Lin Feng and Wu Liang Daoist saw some old acquaintances. For example, the Chu clan's ancestor, the Baji Palace's ancestor, Huang Taicong, and others. Of course, there were also the 4 evil spirit warriors. Chapter 4736. In addition to those top experts, Lin Feng also saw some familiar people. For example, young Master Ming Yu, young Master Xing Yu, and others. In addition, Lin Feng also saw Morong Yuxuan. However, he did not see young Master Xinsong, who was rescued by Morong Yuxuan. He did not know where young Master Xinsong went. Or, this guy did not come here. There were many top experts who came here. Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist did not get too close to that area. After those true immortal experts saw them, those true immortal level experts would definitely go crazy. Previously, those true immortal experts were looking for Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist all over the world, but they found nothing. Those experts had always thought that Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist must have left the weak water sea, but they would never have thought that not only did Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist not leave the weak water sea, and they were not far away from them. Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist were the kind of people who liked to make a fortune in silence. Therefore, they would not rush to the front. Instead, they liked to get some benefits from behind. The matter of breaking the array would be left to those big forces. If there was an opportunity inside, the cultivator who entered first would naturally have a much higher probability of getting it. But so what? The real big opportunity was often left for the last, and it was not so easy to get. It was not certain who would get the last big opportunity. Time passed by little. The methods of the spirit array masters of those large forces were naturally extraordinary. Therefore, after many days of breaking the array, the restriction that guarded the Corsi area was finally broken by the experts of those big forces. Of course, they had only broken a portion of the restrictions. All he needed to do was to open up a gap in the huge restriction. Everyone could enter the Corsi area from the gap. After that gap was opened, those top experts took the lead to enter. Then, the experts of the big forces also poured in. Especially those top experts, under the escort of many people, entered the Central Sea area. Lin Feng looked at Morong Yuxuan. This woman was as beautiful as ever. She exuded an aura that could drive people crazy. She was a woman so beautiful that it took one's breath away. As one of the top 10 beauties of the Undying Realm, Morong Yuxuan was a goddess in the hearts of countless people, although she already had a fiancé. However, she still couldn't stop countless cultivators from admiring her. Furthermore, it was rumored that she still had many suitors. Most likely, someone was trying to poach young Master Qingsong. However, no one had ever succeeded. Taoist Wu Liang noticed Lin Feng's gaze and followed Lin Feng's gaze. TSK, you have good taste. That woman is a goddess-level existence. Moreover, she is one of the 10 great fairies of the Undying Realm. Could it be that you have taken a fancy to that woman? That woman was not someone an ordinary person could provoke. She was very unusual, not only because of her appearance, but also because of her unimaginable methods. Those methods are enough to make countless people fall at her hands. Lin Feng said, I'm really interested in this woman. However, I'm interested in taking her in as a female slave and teaching her a good lesson. Oh, do you have a grudge against her? Taoist Wu Liang asked in surprise. Lin Feng then told him about the conflict between him and young Master Xiansong, as well as the appearance of Murong Yushuan and how she saved him. After Taoist Wu Liang found out about the ins and outs of the matter, he smacked his lips and said, This woman could offend anyone, but she had to offend you. It seems that before long, this world will have one less fairy and one more female slave. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang quickly entered the center of the sea. The center of the sea was indeed different from the outside world, because the seawater here was actually blood-red in color. Moreover, the seawater also emitted an extremely dense smell of blood. After seeing the blood-red seawater, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang couldn't help but frown. How many people died for the seawater here to turn into blood-red seawater? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Taoist Wu Liang said, It seems that an extremely fierce battle must have happened here in the past. Could it be the battle between the weak water goddess and the gods? Lin Feng asked. Taoist Wu Liang said, I'm not sure. Perhaps not long after, we will be able to find the answer. The two continued to fly deeper into the sea, and many cultivators followed suit. About 3 days later, an intense storm blew in the center of the sea. This was a blood-red storm because when the storm blew, a large amount of blood-red seawater was also swept up. The blood-red seawater swept through the world. Within the blood-red storm, a series of ear-piercing screams could be heard. Clearly, there was something terrifying within the storm. However, no one knew what it was exactly. A large number of cultivators were swept into the storm. Not long after, the blood-curdling screams of cultivators could be heard. It seemed that the cultivators who were swept into the storm had suffered a calamity. The blood-red storm was still wreaking havoc in the world. There were blood-red storms everywhere, and everyone was trying their best to avoid them. Many cultivators landed on an island. Then, they hit on the island. Everyone looked at the blood-red storm in the blood-red sea, and their faces couldn't help but turn extremely pale. This place. It was indeed terrifying. One couldn't be careless in this place because the dangers that appeared here could cause serious consequences that could cause cultivators to lose their lives at any time. Therefore, no one dared to let down their guard. Everyone hoped that the blood-red storm would disappear quickly. However, the blood-red storm didn't disappear. Instead, it became more and more violent. Soon, everyone realized that something was wrong. Originally, the blood-red storm was only wreaking havoc in one direction. But now, the blood-red storm had appeared in all directions of the island. The island was actually surrounded by the blood-red storm. Something's not right. Why do I feel like something is controlling the blood-red storm? Is it a creature in the blood-red storm? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown and say. Taoist Wu Liang nodded and said with a serious expression, It's very likely. I wonder if the blood-red storm will blow in the direction of the island. If it blows in the direction of the island, it will be troublesome. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.